Welcome to Self Perfected.
All right, so
Hey,
it's still setting up the live stream.
Cue the music.
Am I supposed to do
you're
that
doing
too?
the Seinfeld song? Was it able to get in the Facebook group now this time, Drake? Or should we just
Let me send you the link for it, Mitch.
send me the YouTube link? I'll drop it in the Facebook group.
Thank
I
you.
already made my one controversial post of the day, so
Oh, did you?
yeah.
Tell us about it.
I asked the
I'm
question.
gonna
I
drink
said,
while you guys do that, okay?
"Hey, Cameron, how inclusive of you."
Oh, damn it! I sent it to Cameron and not to you.
My question I asked the group, I said, "Did you grow up going to church/religious services? How did you actually feel about it?" And then I put my comment in the comments. Because I was reflecting on it being Sunday morning. I was like, man, I used to hate Sunday morning.
Oh, I forgot it was Sunday morning.
It's the podcast, Drake. This is like the new church. Come on.
I
It's
just
actual fun
know
church.
it's podcast day. It's podcast day.
Yeah. Hey, I like your shirt. High visibility.
Max would love that shirt. Anytime we're at any store and he sees a neon shirt, he asks me to buy it for him.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
I'm excited
yeah.
to see the kids' outfits at Enter the 1%, the Futures Here party. I've heard rumors that it's going to be extremely awesome. Like the outfits. I know our kids are matching, Cameron. We'll be matching.
All right, Mitch, did you get that link? Did you post it?
I haven't.
Didn't even look at it. You
Post
didn't
it.
even
No,
look
no,
at it.
I literally have it. I have it. It's right here.
Hilarious.
All right. Podcast time. Oh,
all right.
shit.
Let's just jump. Man, I wish that we had started recording when you were making those jokes. That's funny. That's
Wait.
funny, Cam.
What jokes?
The
Oh.
Larry David
He's like,
jokes.
that's not a joke.
It's not a joke. You're like, Larry David runs the IDF. That he's the
No, I
highest.
didn't say that. I said he's the shadow government of Israel.
There you go.
The head of the shadow government.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. We'll just dive in. People can always rewatch the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, of course. Man,
Another day, another day that Congress passes an anti-Semitism bill. Awesome.
guys, I learned recently that I am anti-Semitic.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading through all the laws,
Oh.
and I don't believe that all Jews love Israel and that Israel represents all Jews. And apparently that's anti-Semitic. But also, if you believe that Israel represents all Jews or all Jews love Israel, that's also anti-Semitic. So I got caught.
So we
in this,
basically can't say anything about Jews at all.
You're not allowed to think about it, actually. It's
Oh shit.
have you ever read
Like thought control.
like
But there's no
1984?
conspiracy, guys.
What conspiracy?
There's definitely no conspiracy.
Oh, there's no
Oh,
conspiracy.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Whew, I gotta.
They definitely should have listened to the other episodes of our podcast.
You want to hear? You want to hear something terrible? I got invited to this farming group, right? And
Like
in
what
order
kind
to-
of farming? Are we talking like sustainable farming or like
it was
foreign
find
farming?
a local farm or something like that, right? Right, Christine? It was like find a local farm, and I thought it was to purchase a farm, but then when I read through the group rules, I was like, oh, it's just to find like local blueberries and shit like that, or or if you want to sell your stuff, right? Anyway, so
Wait, you thought the group called Find a Local Farm meant like find one to buy?
it was like find your farm, I think is what the group
Find
is
your
called,
farm.
something like that. Find your farm.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I want to buy a farm. Let's do it. Let's go.
It's like a
have a
meetup
farm?
for farmers.
Exactly. Like, ooh, you want to buy a farm? Like, hell yeah. Like, look at all these people that want to buy farms. I thought it was a movement.
They're like, wow.
Anyway, and it was like for Florida, all that stuff. But in order to like interact with the different farmers and comment, you have to agree to the group rules and answer their questions. So I'm going through the questions, and one of them's like, what's the secret? And I'm like, oh, I guess it's somewhere in these group rules. So I scroll through the rules, and then the secret password is pickled juice. And I'm sitting there, like typing out, do they want me to write pickled juice? Is that, is,
Like you want me to like figure out the secret?
is there a secret to this? Is this a code word? Is this a dog whistle?
Oh,
It's-
oh,
Speaking of dog whistles, like I was watching John Mearsheimer on Lex Friedman, and John Mearsheimer and some other guy wrote a book about the whole Israel lobby thing and all that. And it was so interesting because John Mearsheimer was very careful to be like, look, I'm not saying it's a Jewish conspiracy to control the US. I'm saying there is a lobby that is pro Israel that is very powerful. And it is normal to have interest groups in our country. That's how the political system is set up. And some of them become very powerful, just like the NRA. Like gun control cannot get passed because of the NRA, good or bad. It's like the Israeli lobby, the pro Israel lobby is very powerful, and they sort of control the United States in the context of Israeli policy, like policy towards Israel. He said to the detriment of both America and Israel, actually, right? Because like they won't allow a two-state solution, which is really the only solution that would, or it's just a solution, anyways, that would allow the fighting to stop. Because as long as the fighting continues, it is not good for Israel, right? It's not good for anybody, obviously. Anyways, and it was like he was very careful to explain. He's like, there's people in there that are not Jewish. There's the Christian Zionists that are in the pro-Israel lobby. He's like, not all Jewish people agree with the pro-Israel lobby. So it's not. He said, I don't call it a Jewish lobby. I call it an Israel lobby, right? And Lex Friedman was like, well, he's like, but you know, it is a very complex matter. He's like, you know, and don't you kind of see how, you know, people see that as a sort of a dog whistle, right? And it's like, and he goes, because, you know, there are very racist, you know, real anti-Semitic people who also agree that, you know, the Israeli lobby, you know, is like this powerful thing. And it's like, because that'd be like fucking Hitler drink water. So therefore, if you drink water, you know, maybe if you're promoting water, you might be promoting it's like kind of a dog whistle for like neo-Nazis, you know, because they, oh shit, see, you know what I mean though? It's like,
damn,
oh, how,
that's crazy. You
but
think
you know what?
'cause
I never hear even Lex Friedman or any of these people do is be like, well, you know what? Tell me more about the genocide, like that you're claiming, or the actual negative conditions. Like that is fucked. Like, how do we solve this problem? Like, it's always ignoring that part. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's totally
Yeah.
ignoring that part, and it's like either like you're downplaying it or you're lying, and then it's, well, what do you expect them to do? Da da da. You know, and so it's just weird because when you see these debates of the Palestine versus the Israel type people, they're never talking about the same thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're taking two totally different sides, and there's no way it can ever be one ever. It's just there's no common reality in the debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That shows the pre-programmed design, and it shows just how much people are playing out the program. Because Best for All is not pre-programmed. I mean, that's what we're doing is
That's
programming
a
in
great
Best for
point.
All.
Yeah, it's a
But
great point.
it's obviously it's not in there, right? So like that we were watching that one debate, well, the 10 minutes of it, and it was just like
Which one?
just talking at each other. The guy who is apparently some comedian, I'd never seen him
Oh, the
before.
Dave
Oh,
Smith.
yeah.
Was that Dave Smith?
No,
I
not
think
Dave
so.
Smith. No,
Well,
no,
I'm
no,
assuming
no.
you're talking about that one.
No. He's talking about trigonometry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
Bassem Youssef guy or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And trigonometry. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like they're talking at each other.
That was a great example.
Yeah. And so for the people listening to this too, it's like just realizing Best for All is not pre-programmed. But it's cool because I'll go through my Facebook, right? And I've had enough times where I have found like you can find people everywhere, in person, online. There are people all over who are searching. And it's funny, I had all of these people, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm friends with all these fucking try hard entrepreneur types that are they'll post a question like, what is your life philosophy summarized in one sentence? I'll go in there and I'll post something like Best for All. So I know there will be one out of every 1,000 people that see it, like, like who is this person? Because I've done it and I've had people reach out like, hey, what did you mean by that? So it's a cool way to do that. I mean, that's how we found, for example, like Chantel in this group. I took this podcast, I just started spamming it in groups. I don't recommend that because you'll get kicked out, but like there are people searching for this, but it's
Get
not in the
kicked out.
pre-programmed
Who
design.
cares? The group was lame anyway.
Well,
They kicked me
I
off for
didn't see
that.
the
Come on.
fucking secret password of pickle juice. So
You didn't see
what
the
even happened? Did you apply to the fucking group?
Yes, I applied
Did you get in?
I gave them the secret password. I knew what they wanted. They
Did
got
you then
me
go in and drop best for all on every single comment?
I'll admit though, their group name is confusing. They should have named it "Find a Farm."
Right.
They called
As
it
opposed to Your
That
Farm.
is a little bit misleading.
I don't know.
That is
what
a
the
little
group was
bit like-
called. It just led me to believe that I was gonna buy a farm. That's what I thought was happening. But anyway,
Well-
Use a Facebook group to buy a farm.
listen, have you ever used Craigslist before? Okay. Yeah. Okay. You buy some weird shit on there
I
all the
didn't have to
time.
join a group and give a secret password, Drake.
That's true. That's true.
You're already
I
you're
found-
going down a weird
Can't you
rabbit.
just go on Facebook Marketplace?
Facebook
That shit's
Marketplace.
crazy.
I've actually
Yo.
bought stuff on Facebook Marketplace before.
I have a wife that sends me I have told her now, you need to put in all caps if this is something we actually need to get now, or if this is just a nice to have. Now she knows. I'll be getting like mulch. There's like this play set. She's like, babe, this is like a $2,000 play set. They're selling it for like $60. We got to go get it. I'm like, that doesn't fit in our pickup truck. Like, so that we have like a grading scale. It's a really good system we've developed over the years.
That's awesome because I just get sent attachments from Christine on Facebook, and I'm like, we don't message through Facebook, so I'm always like, what the hell is this? What is
Well,
this?
that's the easy share function. But then we got these strawberries one time, and now these strawberries are like taking over our garden. It was epic. I think I said this last week. Jess found this woman who also sells like sourdough starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5. Lifetime access for Jess to all the sourdough starter. She can call this lady anytime. And I don't know. Now I get to eat these whatever. I really don't understand sourdough. But I eat the waffles that Jess makes. They're very good.
Dude, I don't like bread, but I love the bread that Christine makes. Like all the time. I look forward to it every single like we run out of bread.
It's
and I'm
almost like
"Hey,
your own communion.
like the
Like body.
It's my daily bread. It's
Damn, see God.
yeah, see?
You see God.
Give us this day our daily bread and all the other stuff. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I wanted you to just preach for the next hour.
I can still do
You're
that.
repeating the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, you just want me to repeat the Lord's Prayer. That's
No, I
not
wanted you to
preaching.
like do a remix.
Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of things that are retarded, did you see Russell Brand got baptized
Oh, I did see
Yeah.
that actually.
and then
Dude.
Candace became Catholic?
I saw David Icke was like, what the fuck?
Dude, how did they not fucking see it in themselves? This is the
But like
power
you
of the
just said
fucking
earlier,
word.
though, it's not pre-programmed. That's the fascinating thing. Is like you can see. That's why the whole thing of like this truth. If everyone knew the truth,
It's
it
so
wouldn't
interesting.
change anything because you're not pre-programmed to then take the truth and be like, okay, let's do what's best with it. You're just pre-programmed to go into some fucking diminished form of it.
Inferiority.
Think about this. Think about this. How many people have you heard who have, quote, turned away from God and then found their way back? Right? Like you hear this story all the time of people who grew up religious or grew up going to church and then they were like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. And then somehow they're like, oh, I realized the error of my ways. And then they go back, or at least that's what they say, right? That they realize the error of their ways. It's really just this pre-programmed point. It's like kind of like that video, that kid, I think he was like 11 years old, talking about his dream where he saw into the future and God was showing him all these things. And like you listen to it, and the kid's talking about like microchips, and he's talking about angels with 4 faces, and he's talking about being controlled by the government and all this stuff. And like you're listening to it and you're like, oh, you just got like hardcore programmed to like hear all these stories. And like, and his parents they're on a mission, like as in like they're in some foreign country sharing Bibles and sharing the good news. I'm putting that in quotes for
It
anybody.
doesn't
That's
sound like good news to me.
It
It sounds
does
like
not
really
sound like
bad
good.
news.
And the
Like,
kid's like having nightmares, and he's like, "This is what's happening." And then the parents are like, "Dude, you need to put that in a video. That's amazing." But okay, but look at this point, because like he doesn't know any better. It's the same thing that happened to me when I was like literally, I think like 4 years old. We went to a production that was called uh Hell's Flames, Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames, something along those lines, right? And it was this major production where
Okay, did they have like flamethrowers?
they had flames on the stage where you could feel the heat, you know,
Ooh.
and they would have this like demonic sounding voice come through the microphone, like it was like completely distorted, and they had somebody like dressed up like a demon or whatever, or
Drake,
what they imagined to be a demon.
I need you to do something with this for the Drake Church. Okay. I want front row fucking seats.
Bro, okay, but hang on. Let
I
me
want to
explain
like
something
have
to
a
you.
slight tan from this.
Imagine you're 4 years old.
Oh fuck no.
You go to this production, right? And the entire production is set up to be as dramatic as possible for you to just accept at the end what they tell you is accept Jesus into your heart, right? And the only context, the only context that you have for what that means at 4 years old, and I can't really hear you, Cam, because you don't have your headphones on. But the only context that you have for that is if you accept Jesus, you get these heaven scenes that they've shown you. And you get to reconnect with your family that's died and everything. And Jesus is there and he's in a flowing robe and he like gives you a hug and it's like all these clouds glowing and it's really nice, right? Or you get these scenes of like some teenagers playing with the Ouija board and the table floats and then they get all sent to hell because they all die in a car crash. Like literally the scene was like they're in a car, they die in a car crash. You hear the truck coming, it's like blaring through these loudspeakers, and then they're in hell and there's a demon that's like taking them down and there's like all these flames around them, this distorted voice like and so you're like at 4 years old you're like, I need Jesus because I don't want that shit. Like that was fucking crazy. Like whatever you say, and that's the pre-programmed point. And then for the rest of your life, you're like you don't even realize, but in the back of your mind is, I don't want to go to hell and experience all that crazy shit that I
you
saw.
can't even it's like you can't even question, right?
Yeah.
also, you're not even understanding what it means to accept Jesus. Like you're just okay, the word Jesus, I'm on that side. That's my team. I'm with that. Like you don't even there's no way you can understand even the context of what it means to be on board with it. You know what I mean? It'd be like
right.
It's like if I think about it, you're trying to make a choice between two things. And instead of the person explaining to you the actual understanding of the choices, they're just frightening you so that you will accept one of them, but you're not doing it out of understanding. You're just being frightened.
Okay, and here's the point though. It's like even when you become older and you're questioning things, and you're like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And you can see it doesn't make any fucking sense. And maybe you're like able to like you tell yourself like, no, I'm not going to do that for a little while. But then what happens is at some point that fear is still there. It's like you haven't dealt with it. It's still unconscious within you. And then all of a sudden you're like, I got to turn back to Jesus because like it gets activated, reactivated, right? It's the same thing that happens with people who are like, oh, I quit, I don't know, drinking or quit porn or quit, cheating on my wife or whatever it is, right? And then like all of a sudden something gets triggered and they're like, oh, I'm back to doing this thing again because they never actually dealt with it. It's okay. One thing, since we're just kind of like going on everything now, we started out with, we're already banned.
We'll,
Anyway.
We'll get back to Larry David. Don't worry, guys.
Okay, good. So, we've listened to some like influential people who shared like, hey, when something's controversial, you should actually like consider looking at it. Don't just run away from it, just look at it, right? And one of the things that they shared was the Dianetics through Scientology, right? And so before I had found this group, that was something that I had looked into. And I remember watching this video on engrams. Have you ever heard of engrams, Mitch?
Yeah.
Okay. So I
But
watched this video.
Explain it though.
And it was so interesting because this was something that I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense. And the whole point of it was, toss out all the bullshit. The whole point of it was when a traumatic event happens, let's say, like the example that they gave was you as a child are watching your mother and father fight. Like they're in an argument. Unfortunately, you're in this household where your parents are abusing each other, right? And your mother and father are fighting, and the father throws down the mom onto the floor. And in that moment, there's a car going by, the sink water is like rushing and overflowing out of the sink. There's all these loud movements going on. When she falls over, she knocks over one of the chairs with her as well, right? And like she grips her stomach or something like that, right? And the point that it was making was all that if you're the mother gets stored into you, all that if you're the child gets stored into you, right? And if you're the mother, maybe the next time that the water's running, the sink is running, and a car like blares its horn, you might all of a sudden start to feel sick to your stomach and not know why. Or any one of those things that happen will activate that memory within you, but you may not remember the memory explicitly. But then within your body, you're feeling those sensations. You're feeling this anxiety. You're feeling like, man, I just feel like falling to the floor. Like I feel like defeated right now. If you're the child, you might also feel those same feelings as well. But also, when you're in a situation where maybe if you're a boy child and you identify with the father, when you're experiencing something where you're being challenged by a woman, you might identify with the father and become aggressive because that memory is activated within you and you don't even know why. And you're like, I don't know why. I just blow up. I don't know why. I just I can't stand it when a woman, talks to me like that. And I feel like pushing her down on the floor. I don't know why. I'm not a mean person, but it's like it was really cool to have that understanding, just to see that point, of, again, ignore all the bullshit that comes with it. But that actually happens of, yeah, you're seeing these things play out. There's also the case that it is like you have the same genetics as those people as well, right? And we know epigenetics is your environment plays a role in how your genetics are expressed, which could mean temperament as well, and so many other things. And so I'm bringing this up within the context of, even if it's not necessarily that extreme. Christine was telling me about some guy, someone that she knows who, his son. Well, let me give some context here. They come from Italy or whatever, and grandfather would tell Christine or tell her family when her brother would like wear Christine's necklaces as little kids and everything like that, or if he would get into like her nail polish and like paint one of his nails or something like that. This other family's grandfather would tell Christine's family, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you're gonna turn your kid gay or whatever," right? So very, I guess, against homosexuality. And then turns out the grandson of that guy years later became gay, or he came out of the closet as gay. I don't know how do you say that, whatever. And it was funny because Christine was saying that the father, like immediately after, all of a sudden became crippled, like had to be in a wheelchair and um could not, like, he had this terrible back pain. And every time that they would go and do tests, they would say, like, we can't find what's causing this back pain. We can't find what's happening to create this spinal injury. Yet he could not walk around, right? What are you gonna say, Cam?
They're like, well, doctor, we do have an experimental test. He's like, are you sure we want to do that? And he's like, yes. And he pulls out this device and it says Gaydar on it. And it's like, it's like pointing at the sun. They're like, I think we found the cause of your back pain.
Right, but like Christine was like, whenever I saw that, I always thought, like, this guy caused himself, like, mentally caused himself to become crippled. Now, what within him, like within his, past or his memories, whatever.
Because he watched Brokeback Mountain.
That's
Yo, he got engrams from Brokeback Mountain.
The words, you see how the words combine with the traumatic scenes?
Okay, look at the word engram, and literally, like, gram means word and n means in.
yeah.
So it's like a word gets placed in you. It's a lot of words, really.
And that's why we have to correct those words. I read this story. It was really interesting. You know how in the Bible, in like the actual beginning of the Bible, or in Genesis anyway, the creation story, God creates Adam, and then Adam
Who created
names all
God?
the animals, right? What?
Pastor, who created God? Just kidding. Keep going.
Don't worry about
Keep
that.
going.
Don't worry about that. The Big Bang created God. God created Adam. Adam.
Stop
has-
fucking questioning it or go to hell. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You were saying.
Hey, keep going. Tell me a Bible story.
I accept whatever you say. Accept.
Do not make me feel that way again.
Dude, that's exactly what it was. It's just like
Literally what it is.
anytime you like question, like,
Okay. Not to get off topic here,
uh,
but that's exactly what's going on right now with all this. You can't question Israel.
dude,
It's the exact same thing.
did you see that picture that I sent? I just sent a picture because that professor from
Yeah,
Columbia
yeah.
was talking. Okay, so you can see what I sent, but you couldn't reply.
He just replied.
Yeah, I could see it. I just couldn't send anything.
Whoa,
can
that
now.
guy's
I
got
think I
some
can now.
serious hair going on.
Yeah, right. but if you look at the comments, one of the comments was like, "Oh, it seems like the prime minister of Israel is actually the president of the United States," and like it's interesting also what you sent about Nixon, that interview that Nixon did, because he was also very careful, kind of like how you were explaining about that one guy. He was also very careful to say, like, hey, there is a pro lobbying group for Israel here in the US, and their interests are our interests most of the time. Like, our interests are aligned. It makes a lot of sense. I totally understand. If America is healthy, we're going to protect the Israel state. And so, of course, they see it as they're not putting Israel first, they're putting America first. And, it's a mutually beneficial thing. And and then at the same time, he's like, but there are some times where, we can't just give them a blank check. I, as the president of America, have to make decisions for America that would be in our best interest, which would be in their best interest. They just don't know it yet. That was like the way he said that, I didn't realize Nixon was.
He also said, like, when the interests are not aligned, the American president should not be influenced by that. They should still stand on their own points.
Yeah. I could see what he was saying. He said it in a very diplomatic way. But I didn't realize Nixon could speak like that. I thought he was one of these, I don't know why, but I always get the image of Nixon just being like, I'm just a criminal. I'm just going to tell you what I think, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all propaganda.
I see that now.
Like, yeah, I mean, when you actually start looking into all of it, it's like, and you actually look at why he was brought down, like what it actually was. It's like people think like, oh, he was so crooked. That's like this idea, right?
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, he got in trouble because some guys broke, like if you start actually looking into what is Watergate and all that whole thing, you're like, that was it.
Yeah.
And then you see like what's happening to Trump, and you're like, oh, this is all just political fucking fighting and stuff. It's not. But we all had this impression that like Nixon's this really bad guy.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
It's like
Definitely.
it's like an engram in a way.
Engrams.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's fuck Scientology, whatever, but it's just words.
Yeah.
Really, it's just words. Like you don't know Nixon, and like another thing too. I remember one time looking and trying to find a speech of Hitler, like talking about how like terrible the Jews are and you have to get rid of him and all this stuff. And like I can't find any speech like that.
Hmm.
It's actually very hard to find any real speeches that he gave. I mean, I know probably they were, a lot of them were recorded.
Yeah.
And then so you start looking at that and you're like, how come you never analyzed one of his speeches in school?
Yeah. That's a good question. You were just
But-
told about him. Like, here's what you're supposed to think about this person.
Here's the conclusion. Same thing with Jesus. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
you just told like here's what it is and here's the conclusion. And if you don't immediately go with it, you just get threatened and you're made. It's just selling. It's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to if someone's trying to sell you something, like they're not trying to help you understand everything. They're just trying to get you to buy it. They don't really care if you understand it.
Right.
Which is a problem if you look at like what we're doing. If this person doesn't understand what they're doing, that's not to their best benefit.
Right.
So they don't bring the best for all point in. And it's kind of ironic, even within religion, they're not really bringing the best for all in, even in the context of helping people understand what they're actually
No, 'cause
apparently
it's just
believing in.
they were abused as well because they had their own version of that experience when they were a kid. Oh, if I fuck up, I'm going to hell, and if I'm good, I'm going to heaven. And that's like the actual resonant point, and then that's what's coming through. And
Yeah.
they'll,
Plus all
it's a
the
cycle.
all the stuff that they get, all the stories that they're like told in this emotional way. Like, man, what was it that this kid said to me? He was saying a word. Oh, ornamental. Ornamental. Like we were looking at the word ornamental, and he was like, yeah, it means like you help people. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, like that word means like you're helpful to people. I'm like, how did you get ornamental, like ornaments on a Christmas tree? And he's like, I'm like, it's decoration. He's like, yeah, but like in Christmas time, you're supposed to be like giving and helpful. And I'm like, oh, like
Wow.
that. You see how that association got like put in there, and so he thought the word ornamental meant helpful to other people. I'm like, whoa, that is not the definition of that word at all, right? And so it's interesting because
How old was that kid?
16 years old or 17 maybe. 16, 17.
So how is it as a parent? I mean, I'm asking rhetorically. You let your child go through their whole life, not like the moment I hear my kids use a word incorrectly, I ask them like, "What do you mean by that? Like, do you understand that?"
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's talk about that. What does that mean? Like, this is what it actually means.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good. The parents don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
But they're
Blind
not
leading
even
the
taking
blind.
responsibility for it. Of like,
No.
I'm
No.
actually programming this person.
Yeah.
It was really
You
cool.
know?
Yesterday we went to this like some education, freedom and education event thing, and we had a booth there with the Techno Tutor. And there was maybe 20-ish other tables there. Almost 2/3 of them were all some like Christian homeschooling thing. But it's so fascinating because there's been this explosion in homeschool in terms of like how many kids, how many families are looking at it since the pandemic. Because a lot of parents got to see firsthand, oh, wow, this distance learning thing is not working. So then out of a reaction to that, they go looking for an answer. And it's funny because the system puts up basically two solutions. There's like the come to God and this will magically work for you. And then there's another one of like, don't go to the God route, just take the secular route or whatever, but it's owned by all the big corporations. And so both ways are a fucking trap. But it was really cool because we were there having way more fun than everyone else and having genuine conversations with people and getting people into really be able to talk as humans. Like you go to other tables and they're just like do their little spiel and it's like okay, there's this one where it's like Saint Saint of the Angels Catholic school, and then there's like Saint of the Holy Catholic school, like all this shit. I'm like, what? Kids just competing, like what is
How do you
this?
choose? Yeah.
Right. And but we had these two little handouts. Pedro made them. They're awesome. And one was about the United Nations talking about what's happening with AI and how many jobs they're predicting to be disrupted. And the other one was giving examples of like Devon AI and things like that, and had a cool picture of like Jensen Huang talking about like it's literally irrelevant for you to go learn program. Like all the shit kids are studying right now is irrelevant. And it was really cool conversation starter because we were the only people in that entire room who even used the word AI. Like these are supposed to be like the cutting edge freedom, like, hey, we want the best for our kids. But I've done this long enough. Like I realized, okay, I'm not going to sit here and blame like, oh, they're so stupid. They don't know about AI. It's like, they just don't know. That's why we're there. And it's a really
And yet
cool
they're
thing.
trying to educate their children. And like their solution is let's tell them about some shit 2,000 years
Dude,
old that
one
never
guy-
fucking worked.
Oh my god, dude. One of them, they're like, we are these fucking it's just like the woke liberals that have all their words that they decentering and shit. They were like, we're truth centered. And one of them is, and then what they do is they have like these model replicas for Bible stories. So there was like one on the table of this like wooden crafted whale in a boat, and it was supposed to be the story of Jonah or something. I'm like, then in the corner I saw the company that manufactured it. I was like, oh, this makes more sense. They're just dishing products out, but it's like, wow, I'm committed to making sure that no kid has to sit there for fucking 3 hours a day playing with Jonah the whale toys, because what will that do?
You see how it's like you have this sort of association with something, and then it's just like toys and shit and like what's the word, ornaments, let's say, right, that just go along with it, and then that somehow that's education.
And what was fascinating is they were like, there's one lady who was a speaker there, and she's saying how she's like, yeah, it's so great how many families are like homeschooling. Let me tell you some stories about these brave families that are looking at solutions for homeschooling and getting their kids out of the school. All right, here we got this lady, Stacy, whatever, and Stacy used to be a teacher, but now she stepped out, right? And there's a picture of Stacy on the screen and everything. She's like, yeah. So now at their own pod, the parents come, and Monday through Friday, the parents come, they drop off their kid. The kid's there for the whole day, but they get to go out in nature and they get to learn all these lessons. And what I was like, wait, weren't we just talking about how we want these kids to be out of school so they can actually learn? And you're telling me the solution that's being presented is you just create a new fucking school. I was like, but you call it a pod. Like,
It's not a school, it's a pod. It
pod.
functions it functions like a school.
like a whale pod.
A pot of whales. Yes.
Maybe
yes.
that's what they're saying.
Yeah. So not
I don't
not a
fucking
school
know.
of fish, but a pot of whales. Mm.
Hold on, you're putting them into a pod, like in the Matrix.
A fucking pod. So
I took the red pill. I took my kids out of school and I put them into a pod with someone who was a fucking teacher.
Dude, it was, but and behind her there was like a poster that said like 1,000 hours in nature or something. So
that's like really
they get on the
popular.
whole something like with it. Oh
It's
wow,
it's like a podcast.
Eh,
Yeah.
What does
She's
that mean in nature?
Like outside.
like it's some rule of
Why don't they just call it outside?
I think they have. I think the original is called 1,000 hours outside.
Oh, that might be it. I don't know.
I just love this idea of being in nature. Like it's this somehow magic. I mean, it's good to go outside, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
like don't over fucking emphasize it. Like,
Or there's this one lady too where she's like, like it's cool because I'll go there and I will find the people to chat with and everything, and then you realize too there's only so far you go with a person in that
Sure.
setting, and then you set up a time to sit down with them, right? But this one lady, she's like, oh yeah, I just think it's good to just wait as long as we can before the kids have to sit down and read and do math and everything, after 7. And I was like, yeah. This is not the time and place for me to go,
Yeah. I know
There's
we talked
another
about this
point,
before, but it's like I have kids that are now 7. I have a child who's now 7, over 7 now, not quite 8. And he can read anything and he spends time outside. You know what I mean? He's not sitting around doing fucking academics all day, and he's smart as hell. And like, what was he saying to me yesterday? He was making some clay. He was making some clay figurine, and I'm trying to remember the way he was describing it. He was like remember, he's 7 years old, and he's like, he had this clay figurine. It was kind of like, the best way I could describe it is kind of like a lizard, sort of. That was like the shape of it, like maybe like a dinosaur, where it has like a body and like a tail that comes out, right? And he was like showing me, because I was telling Seneca, because Seneca was picking it up, and I was like, well, don't pick it up by the tail, pick it up by the body, because otherwise the tail will break. And Max was like, no, actually the tail's pretty strong. He's like, I used a different technique this time. I'm like, what do you mean? Because normally when you're making clay, what they would normally do is they would just like, you take a piece and you just kind of smush it onto the other part, right? That's what I would do, right? He's like, no, I took I forget what it was, some object, and I bored a hole deep inside to it, and then I put it in there. And he goes, so I made like a socket, and he's like using all these words, right? And he's like, so, and then he squished the clay around it, so like the actual tail was like embedded into the clay, right?
That's cool.
And then he was showing me one of the other figurines he made, and it was like, he was telling me all those different techniques that he developed. Like one of them was he's talking about sockets. I can't remember what the other ones were, but I'm just saying his vocabulary around it was so high. And
Dude, okay, think about that. Because like, if he didn't know about those things, how would he know to create that?
well,
You
okay,
know?
and here's the other point too. I realized too. It's like, so imagine, these homeschoolers, right? They're doing this religious homeschooling, and it's not per se the problem is that it's religious, but like their starting point within it. It's like, okay, guys, now it's time to make some clay figurines about the resurrection. So they spend all the time making the stuff because it's about the resurrection. Whereas with Max making it, he has some goal of something he's trying to create, but it's the actual process of creating it that he's focusing on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rather than, like, he also is interested in the end result, but the end result is he wants something that he can play with, that's durable, etc. And no one's telling him to do it. It's like,
He's not just trying to fulfill a project or fulfill a project that somebody else has given to him.
right, like he wanted a toy of a specific thing.
He's not doing an assignment, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And then within it, it's like, and so imagine by contrast the kids who are like doing the assignment, and it's like, okay, we're making a thing of this thing, and so they go through the motions, they do that, but what do they actually learn from it?
They're learning to follow somebody else's orders.
Right, but I mean, really, they're just not learning anything. Like Max is developing his own, whether he's learning a technique somebody else made or he's developing his own, it's not the important point, but he's developing ability and skill within making clay and getting the thing that he wants from it, right? Because we could just go buy him a toy, and sometimes we do buy toys, not that often, but we do buy toys, and yet it's like he could go and sit and spend an hour working on this clay stuff, and then he goes and he puts it in the oven himself, and he puts the timer on, and then he takes it out, and then he puts another timer for how long it takes to cool down, and like he does all that, and he's sitting like, okay, I'm waiting for it to, he's like, man, I really wish it wouldn't take so long, but that's what it takes to bake the clay or whatever, right? And it's just like the actual process of doing it and understanding it versus this. It's like, well, I really just want to impulse them with some Christianity thing. So it's not even about the process. It's just like, we're just going to do this. Like, when you're in school and you made like plates with like macaroni on them and shit, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
And everyone makes the same thing. Like, what was the point of that?
I have no fucking clue.
You know what I mean? Versus if the kids had plates and macaroni and glue just always
Actually-
available, and like that was the only thing that they had, not the only thing, but it was just a thing they had to be creative within. Do you know what I mean? And then they could then go make stuff out of it.
The point of it was for the teachers to send something home with the kid to show, hey, look, we did something.
Exactly.
That's really what
It's
it
not.
was.
It's not about education.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because like Max is getting really good at drawing and making things out of clay, and it's like it's just stuff that he's interested in that he then wants to have a toy about or a picture of or whatever. And he'll come to me and he'll be like, all right, I want you to draw a picture of this. And I'm like, I'm not going to draw a picture of that. Why do you want me to do it? And he's like, well, because you're good at drawing, which I'm not that great at drawing, but you know, to a kid, maybe I can do it more easily or whatever, or I can just produce the result they're looking for. Right. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I said, because you won't develop the ability to do it. You'll always be dependent upon me and you'll learn a lot. And then also you're just wanting to get this thing, but part of it is the process of creating it. You'll learn to enjoy that, and then you'll have more control over what the result is. And you may not get what you want right this moment. I might be able to do it better, but ultimately you'll be able to do something way better than I can. It'll just take time. I said the only reason it seems like I can do it better than you is because I've spent some amount of time already developing some level of skill in it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm explaining that to them.
Yeah.
That's more important than the thing that you're trying to learn about.
Which also, you know, when the kids are making those macaroni plate things or whatever, the teacher is like helping them a lot. Like with like, here, let me draw this for you. Let me do, and like the parents getting something that the teacher made, not something that the kid made. A lot
Well,
of
it's
the
also
guilt
the
they put
teacher
it on their
made it-
fucking fridge.
Even if the teacher didn't per se, which you're right, that does happen. But even if that isn't the case, the teacher came up with the idea or somebody else came up with the idea and they're just mimicking it, which is not always a bad thing. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's always the case in schools. You're just copying something someone else already did.
Yeah.
There's no level to where you're putting yourself into it. And again, there's a time and a place for that. That can be useful to copy stuff and so forth. But that's all it ever is in school. There's
So-
no actual really clear support of the child to develop something from within themselves and to actually become better at something, you know?
I wanted to go back to the story because, you know, I was reading this story about how, in the Genesis creation story, it's like God creates Adam, right, and then brings him all the animals to name them, right, and then this story was making the point of when you have a child and they're learning language, then they start naming all the animals. Basically, the point being that they learn to name everything because then that introduces that into their world, right? Not just animals, obviously, but like the wind or like, you know, the story was actually like, you know, a shade is being moved by the wind. And then, you know, mom points to it and says, the wind. And the kids, you know, thinking to themselves, that's odd. I thought you said that was a shade. And then later on, like you see a tree branch moving. And the mom again says, look, the wind. And the child's like, I swear that is a tree. I'm sure you told me that's a tree. But eventually the child learns, oh, wind. And so now it's not this thing that like magically happens that the tree just moves on its own or, you know, things move on their own, but there's something behind it that the child can name, wind, right? Or another example was, if you take a child from an urban setting, you know, from like the city, and you bring them out into the country, they may have a generic name for like bird, tree, you know, things like that, plant, right? Whereas a child who has the vocabulary of like, well, this kind of bird, that's that kind of bird. This farm animal is not just a farm animal. This is you know, a dog or a pig or, you know, or a boar, you know, like, and the difference, which would be, don't touch this one. This one, you know, if it bites you, that's not going to be nice at all, right? Or this one doesn't want to be pet, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, but being able to make that distinction because you have the vocabulary of like, that's not just a bird. Or you know, have you ever seen those videos of like I don't even know where I saw this video actually, but I watched a video I remember of like some African tribesmen walking through these like different terrains, and it was like in a savanna type of environment, and the narrator was basically saying like, this person knows where he's going just as easily as somebody who's in the city can recognize the street signs and can go and make the right turns. He's recognizing the different plants in his area, even like certain rocks and things like that, to go directly to where he wants to go. Right. And it's like he didn't have GPS on his phone, I'm sorry guys, but he's able to see because he has the vocabulary of like, oh, that's this kind of plant. And that plant is either detrimental or medicinal or whatever, versus the person who's just like, plant. I don't know which one do you want? Like, you bring the detrimental one. You're like, you told me to go get the plant, right? And like, no, not that one, you idiot, right? But
Yeah.
the significance just being like, we're actually able to make sense of the world because we have the vocabulary to do so. And that point of with Max making a socket within the clay figurine in order to support the other piece. It's like,
Oh, you know what's interesting about that is I kept telling him, because he would make figurines and different things, and like they would always break, because he would do that method of just pushing the clay on there. And I was explaining to him like it doesn't really form like a solid point if you do that. And I was like, you really should get some toothpicks. So I bought toothpicks for them. And I was like, you should use toothpicks and like, put them together inside. I think that'll work better. And he would never do it because it's kind of like, I'm telling him to do it. Right. And then when he was talking to me last night about that socket thing, right? He goes, yeah, it's really strong. And he was like, way better than your stupid toothpick idea. I'm like, cool. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm not, if it's like such a good idea, why don't I do it? I was going to bring up 2 points real quick. I want to go back to the Bible thing. Just remind me in a second, but I just want to tell you a quick story. Like last night, just going on the animal thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like last night I was talking with Katie and Seneca was like, oh, there's a spider in the bathroom. And so I went in there and I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, it's just a little spider. And she goes, yeah, it's a baby wolf spider, right? And then she like puts her hand down and she's like trying to pick it up, right? And I'm like, she wants to pick it up, right? And I was like, well, you're gonna squish it if you try to pick it up. It's so small. I was like, why don't you just put your hand down and let it crawl? And so it just crawled right on her hand, and it was just like crawling up her arm, and she's laughing, and she goes, Katie, look, I got a wolf spider. It's a baby wolf spider, right? And I'm sharing that because like she does not have the fear that a lot of people, most adults and a lot of kids would have around animals.
Yeah.
And like she also supports, because you've probably seen some of the videos like when she was little, even when we lived in the city, of like supporting her. Like there's that video where she's like holding the frog and she's like shaking, like she's so excited.
Yeah.
And like they will catch all kinds of bugs and spiders and like caterpillars. And we always look first, like, okay, what kind is that? Because like, let me ask you a question. If you saw a big spiky black caterpillar, what would you think?
I'm not going to touch it.
Because like when I was a kid, I remember someone telling me that's an asp. You don't touch those, they'll sting you, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different black fuzzy caterpillars. And I remember if it has red on it, you don't want to touch it. Then there was these ones out here, and they're called I forget the name now, but it's like maybe mammoth or woolly moth, or I forget what it is. There's so many different ones, but when I saw it, she was like, can I pick that one up? And I was like, I'm not sure, let's look it up. So we looked up a few things, and it was very clear, like, oh, it's this one. These are very common here. Dang, what was it? It's something I'll remember later. But anyways, we looked it up. It's definitely this thing. And then I was like, well, let me touch it, right? Because if it's gonna sting, at least I'll know, right? So I touched it. I'm like, oh no, it's not bothering me. It's not making me itch or anything. So then she picks it up. Starts. It's like we weren't afraid of it. It was just like we don't know. And some caterpillars do sting. Some of them are very painful sting. Like there's one called oh shoot, and I can't remember what that one's called either. But there's like an asp that's like this weird. It looks like almost like a little like fluffy eyebrow. It's so weird looking, right?
Mhm.
And they usually are on oak trees. And like that one you don't want to touch apparently. Like it will fucking be very painful. So anyways, a flannel moth. It's a flannel moth. Yeah. The flannel moth ones you don't want to touch apparently. And anyway, so they love going and catching caterpillars, and they know which ones with. Oh, that's a tent. That's an eastern tent moth. Caterpillar. That's a whatever. And so another thing too is like in the garden, we have tomatoes, we've got potato plants, all kinds of plants in the garden, right in the front. And in one row, there's 2 rows where we have peppers. And I in the mornings I'll take Caius. I'm like, do you want to go look at? Let's go check our peppers because I'm really interested in those because I want to make sauce and stuff out of them. And so we'll go and we'll look at the
Ghost
pepper,
peppers?
huh?
There's your ghost peppers.
Some of them are ghost peppers, right? And I go through and I'll tell him like these are the jalapenos, and he'll be like, and he'll like try to say the word with me, right? And then I'll show him each one, right? And I'll explain to him like, um, don't don't pick these ones, right? Like don't touch them because they can be very spicy, right? So when it's time to pick them, we'll use gloves or whatever, right? And so we go through. So I don't have to now worry, is Caius, who's like 2.5, gonna hurt himself because there's a ghost pepper there?
Yeah. I mean,
Because you understand. And I ask him, like, do we pick these ones? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what about these ones? He's like, yeah, because it's tomatoes or whatever, right? So it's like
Yeah.
we don't just go, no, don't touch that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like the same thing with the religion example you gave
Yep.
earlier with the church. It's like but the problem is like, don't you see how that could be like an engram later of like, oh, I don't like spicy stuff. Why? You don't know why. You just know it's danger. Even though actually it won't hurt you.
Yeah.
But with a kid, you're going to put them into a lot of pain. They're not going to understand why. You don't want a 2-year-old just randomly hurting, being in pain for no reason and not understanding that.
I also like that Mitch broke it down with like gram means word, right? And so
Isn't it all engram? Vocabulary is all engrams.
it is because like think about it. If you got stung by one of these like flannel caterpillars or whatever, and you're like hairy caterpillar equals sting, and so then forevermore, like you just avoid hairy caterpillars, right?
Well, what's funny is like when we first moved here, I got bit by a wolf spider.
Yeah.
And I kind of freaked out at first because I didn't know what it was. It was huge.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember the kids were like, what's going on? And I was like, had to calm down and be like, okay, we looked it up because we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And they're still not afraid of wolf spiders. Like she knows. And I even said, like, when she picked it up, because Katie said, I said, oh, it's just a wolf spider. And she said, like, well, they can still bite. She didn't say it like in a fearful way. She was just saying, well, they can still bite. And I said, yeah, they can, but it doesn't really actually hurt. It's just like if someone took a piece of glass and just kind of poked you, not even cut you, just like that's what it feels like. It just feels like a little poke. Right. And so we were just talking about it. And even knowing that, Seneca's not afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I've seen Caius too go out in the yard and just like pick up a spider and just playing with it. Do you know what I mean? And then you also learn black widows, all these different spiders. It's very rare that they can even be able to bite you.
Oh.
Like they don't, it's like very difficult for them to puncture your skin. They're not designed to attack humans.
Right,
I'm not saying it isn't possible.
Yeah.
But this thing of like, you see a black widow, fucking kill it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's near the house and you're not going to, like, if it goes into your shoe and you have a lot of pressure, it could bite you. You know what I mean? There's ways in which you can get hurt by them. And sometimes people do. But growing up, it was like, you see a black widow, you need to run away because you're going to die if it touches you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the idea that you have of it.
And I looked it up recently, and like, it's very rare that like you can actually die from a black widow bite.
Right. It's even rare that they can bite you.
Yeah.
Like actually successfully bite you, and they're not even trying to bite you. So it's like, it's not so much that all words are engrams. An engram is the result of a word not being directed properly. If that makes sense. We're like even more fundamental than that, because how do you prevent them from being formed is through explanation.
Yeah.
If you actually take the time and you explain and you explain and you explain, and it's fun because Caius is in that stage now where it's like he's starting to be able to repeat things and say things and so forth, right? And that's like you can see like the understanding forming, right? And he'll point at something like a bug on the wall, and he'll look at me and he goes, "Bug?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dead bug?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think that one's dead." He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Let's see," and we'll touch it and it'll move or whatever, right? So it's just really cool because he's developing that that understanding.
I
But
thought
I
you were
wanted
gonna
to
say dead bug. No.
actually yesterday there was a bug on the ground. Like it was like in the by the house, and he like went and like he was like pointing at it, and I was like, yeah, that's a bug. And then he goes over with his shoe and he starts like stomping on it. I was like, all right. um but I was gonna say this point about the Bible. I was just thinking about this when you were bringing up Genesis, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like we call it the Bible, and I'm like, there's so many
What else
different,
would it be called?
but I'm saying there's so many different ancient texts
Bible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll buy
that
it.
that talk about, because like even the idea of Genesis and Adam,
Yeah,
um there's not only one story about Adam,
yeah, that's true.
you know, like because like I had seen a thing with Billy Carson recently. We had talked about that,
Yeah,
and he's all into the Anunnaki and all that kind of stuff, right? He was talking to Andrew Schultz,
yeah,
like who's like kind of a mainstream comedian now, you know.
definitely.
And it was just like there's he's going into like all the ancient texts and being like, look, it's talking about all Anunnaki and aliens coming and like all these different things. And Adam was according to this line of reasoning, Adam was a almost like a hybrid of the alien race that had come here. They wanted to create something that would be like a slave for them, so they used their genetics to create this other thing, and it was called an Adam, right? And so it wasn't only one of them, there was many of them, you know. And then there was like Eve's. Almost think of it like it's like models of robots. Like we've got the Adam model, you know, like you have a Tesla Model S. There's not just one of them, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So my point being,
You know,
it's
it's
just
funny too, is like if you're looking back at the history of Tesla, it's like, and we created the Model S, like the Model S, right?
right, as if, but it's just like it's a concept, right?
Yeah.
But my point was like in everyone's mind is this idea that there's the Bible, and then there's the story of creation, which is Adam and Eve. I know maybe this only applies in the West per se. Like there's other places you can go where they don't necessarily, but I mean it's pretty much a global thing at this point. You know,
Yeah.
there's Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Yeah, there's Buddhism, and then that's everyone else has their little niches and stuff. But these are the main ones that are affecting the most, like billions of people. Okay.
Well, Jewish. Did you
I said that one,
She said
but that's
that.
the
Okay,
same
okay.
thing, really. You know, it's so stupid. It's like Christianity and Judaism are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're literally the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, the Messiah is coming. Someone, I was looking at the comments, and this person's like, it was like, I think it was a comment on that rabbi video I sent you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the person's like, the Messiah already came and he'll be coming again, you know? And I'm like, so he already came, but he's still not here. He's got to come back. How is that different than he's just got to come in the first place?
And okay,
They're like,
Yeah, and how do you know next
Came-
time it's gonna really work? Like,
but
Yeah.
someone wrote, first time priest, next time king. Like, first time he came as a priest, now he's going to come as a king. I'm like, is that what we need? A king?
Right. Right.
What does it mean when you say Christ is king? Like, you want a king? You're upset that Biden acts like a dictator. You want a king? Well, he is the righteous king, the final king of kings. You're like,
they're like having flashbacks to fucking Lord of the Rings or whatever, where he's got the crown at the end, you know? It's like,
You
what
know-
do they actually envision in their head? Some dude on a fucking cloud floating there with like dude, Drake, just for a moment, tell us about this production you went to when they introduced Jesus. Was it like some guy with a fucking guitar, like flowing hair? Like,
He had
what was
flowing hair.
Jesus?
He did not have a guitar. He
Was he
he
like-
had
Was he strapped onto cables though coming in?
no, actually the way they did it was they had like, man, the scene changes that they did for this production were amazing. Because it would go from like completely dark and like, you know,
Hilarity.
yeah, completely just like, you know, you got the flames and all this stuff. And then the next scene or in heaven would be like just completely bright lights coming from everywhere. And like
Fucking blind you.
it's all white. Yeah. And like you've got these clouds coming through and everything. It was really well done. And then Jesus would come in like a really flowing, like purplish robe or whatever, the long hair, and you'd hear this voice, and like it'd be a booming voice, like, come, my son. but like it wouldn't be like the distorted voice. It'd sound like really like, oh yeah, God's like he's strong. He's a strong man.
Gonna make me feel safe.
That's right. That's
So
right.
that's what I think literally is like the underlying engrams within people is where they're like, no, the Messiah will come. It's like they think there's gonna be a fucking booming voice over the loudspeaker going, hey guys, this is the real one. Listen
You
up.
you know what it is? You know what people think? It's sort of like you know how people will associate themselves with their team? Like, you're watching sports and you associate yourself with your
Yeah.
team. It's like you're watching your team, or even when you're watching a movie and you associate with like the main character of the movie, the hero or whatever, and like
Mhm.
they're coming in and kicking ass, and you're like, yeah, yeah. Like that's what people believe. It's like, oh, if I'm on this side, then that guy's he's gonna kick your ass too, because you said no to me. And like that's what people believe. Like they
It's
have
so
this.
funny. Okay, what I just thought of right there when you're explaining how these people see it, it's like their inner structure of how they see it. It reminded me of Max talking about the stupid fucking toothpicks. It's like that's how these people see reality. It's like all these little fucking toothpicks going like, aha, yes, this is how I feel towards Jesus. This is where we're going. They like feel all good, and it's like literally just gonna fucking snap.
It's sort of like if you go to school and um you're over there telling everybody like, I've got a big brother and he'll kick your butt if you're not my friend. Like he's gonna kick your butt, he's gonna kick your butt. Only my friends are gonna get to hang out with my big brother, and he's really cool. And then like people imagine like their big brother is gonna come to school and like, yeah, kick his butt. Oh yeah, him too. Like he was a jerk to me one time. You're like, like, oh, didn't didn't that kid who was making that video, that 11-year-old, say like, yeah, and all those friends who betrayed me, yeah, they don't get to go to heaven. Like that was one of the lines that he said. Like, yeah, so all these people I thought were my friends, yeah, they betrayed me, and I saw them. They're screaming down in the world, and they don't get to come to heaven. I was like, damn, bro. But it's like this point of um it's secretly what's happening within them is that they get to be the judge secretly, right? And then they project that out onto this God figure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but why do we need all that judgment?
Why do
It's
people
like
judge?
not why do you judge? Because judgment is more just like making an assessment, but it's like that feeling of you need to be punished and like you wronged me and all this
I
stuff.
think it's
Like,
like an
Yeah.
attempt of control. It's like
but what I'm
baseline.
saying is nobody's considering like what are the conditions in our world that's just creating that feeling within us or that you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
so the solution is like some higher power to come and like cast judgment on things
It's
and
like a perfect combination of being lazy and wanting control. It's like lazy because you don't want to take responsibility, and control so you can control that you feel good all the time, and you can control when you like how you don't want to feel bad.
It's also this point of like powerlessness as well. Because, just looking at that point of, okay, we haven't really explicitly said there's a ton of protests going on at, or at least they were going on, at all these major universities where cops are being called in. Over 2,000 some students have been arrested, right? And I was talking to you, Cam, about it yesterday, and you were like, "Yep, where was this response during Black Lives Matter, or any of the other protests at
I mean, it
all?"
seems like they're straight up just shutting them down now.
Yeah,
Like they're just shutting them down.
yeah.
Well, they couldn't
Because
have done that for Black Lives Matter.
no, well, Cam, that was for black people. This is for brown people. We
Right.
don't
That's
do
what
that.
makes no sense. It's like they're protesting the same thing. They're protesting oppression.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, that's the idea is they're protesting oppression, injustice, etc. So why isn't the system on the side of the pro-Palestinian people if the whole point was, well, we're allowing the whole thing about because it was about racism and injustice and all that. So it's like they have a right to say these things and do these things and run around and run amok and all this. And like, why wasn't the Antifa shit just shut down?
Well, these are terrorists. We've categorized them as terrorists. So we don't have to have compassion or anything towards children anymore because we just call them a name that means that we can do whatever the fuck we want. Like it's really interesting actually to consider this point of like, okay, now it should be obvious that those other protests were allowed to continue because they served the interests of the system, you know? And still even with saying that, I need to be really clear about the way that I say that because it's like, is the protest actually going to do anything? No. And that's the point that I'm bringing up of like the protest, the whole reason for the protest is because there's a powerlessness within it. Like you don't know what to fucking do. You know, like if you're out protesting or whatever, it's like if you actually had the solution, you wouldn't just stand there and go, I don't like it. Like, okay, do something about it then. Right? Like
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah. Again, vocabulary, best for
Right.
all. It's not pre-programmed. So it's like, well, I do appreciate the point that they see that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, the protesting is not a solution, but it just shows like people see there's a problem. And it's just so interesting to me that you have, it's very similar. It's like during the COVID thing, a lot of people probably left the military because they didn't want to take the vaccine, or they left because there was all this like transgender shit coming in, or like there was a big crackdown on like if you were vocally like pro Trump and all these kind of things, like all these different points. A lot of people left the military. So who's left is people who just go along with the fucking current brainwashing.
Yeah.
So when you think about the universities, let's say people keep going, like who's going to go to Columbia next year? I mean, I would assume probably not somebody who's hardcore like on the side of like I don't agree with injustice and oppression and all that. They're probably gonna be like, why the fuck would I go there? They're just gonna, there's nothing for me there.
Right.
So who is gonna go there? Somebody who's like, I don't give a shit about that. I just want to make money. I just want to follow the system. I'm not going to question anything.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's going to create like a filtering thing where it's just like getting rid of the people who are going to like utilize that position to then protest or stand up or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty interesting because then at the same time, you have all these protests happening, and the only reason they started getting attention really was because they brought the cops in. That's when they started becoming like, the news started saying that they were harassing Jewish students, which they weren't. I mean, maybe it happened at some point, but I mean, the general bigger picture point, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't happening. It's kind of like with the January 6th thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't an insurrection. Like maybe there were some people there who like wanted to do certain whatever, like as like an individual sort of a thing, but as a broader point, that's not what it was.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I was watching, I think it was Mark Lamont Hill talking with Don Lemon, and
I thought it's pronounced Don Lemon.
Don Lemon, right? And they were like talking about, because Don Lemon made this point about how it was kind of like protesting is one thing, but going and occupying property that's not yours and being destructive, he's like, it's got very January 6th vibes. And like Mark Lamont Hill, who was all like pro Black Lives Matter, all that stuff came on and was just like, you're kind of equating things that aren't the same. He's like, you can't equate these people who went in and actively tried to overthrow the government, blah, 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 with this other point, right? And I'm like, you actually, like, did you actually believe that's what was happening?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, the media is smearing this as, they're anti-Jewish and all these things. And I'm like, that's the same people who are doing that are the same ones who told you there was an insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Like, what are you not? How are you not? But again, it goes to the bias.
Yeah. Actually, Don Lemon was showing you like, oh yeah, this is exactly what we did during during the same thing, January 6th. We used the same narrative. We saw what was happening. I'm telling you, we're going to a January 6th this thing.
See, and this is another point I've said too. It's like, if you think you like don't have to change the system because it's like, okay, well, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter. I don't agree with these Palestinian protests. Who cares if they get cracked down on? there will be something that you do care about that the system will challenge, and then you'll be on that side. I mean, haven't we started to see that now? You would think based on the past, okay, they're against pro-Trump type people. They're against if you don't want the vaccines or you don't want to go along with that. But if you're pro-racist, like anti-racist, if you're on the side of trans and all this stuff, okay, then you're good. So then all those people start protesting against Israel, and now suddenly they're bad.
Yeah.
Like, so the system doesn't have any actual bias per se. It's like, we want to make money. The whole thing is about just making money and continuing things as is. And why is it defending Israel? Because Israel is like a player in the whole game of like, hey, we got control of this area. We're going to make money. We're going to bring stuff through here. Da, da, da. It's like they don't care about all of the genocide, all this and that. It's like, and then they will straight up just sit and lie to your face. And like, they are saying, I saw Netanyahu saying that it's like they call the Hamas genocidal terrorists.
Yeah.
They use the word genocidal terrorists, but then on the other side, if you start saying there's some kind of genocide, they start quibbling about the definition of genocide, and like, you can't call it that. And it's like, but you'll very easily just naturally, fluently say genocidal terrorists over here. And everyone's like, well, of course they are. You saw what happened on January 6th. And it's like, October 7th or whatever. And it's like, yeah, according to your definitions, it's like the system constantly has this, here's the right thing. Here's the correct thing. Just like with the Bible, it's like, this is the correct story about creation. Even though it's just an opinion, it's just a story. It's like, yeah, but in everyone's mind, even if you don't believe it, that is the creation story. Right. And I'm like, dude, go back into like ancient Egypt and all these different cultures and stuff, and you'll find all kinds of stuff that kind of has some similar points, but that you'll be like, wow. So you go back and you start looking at, like Billy Carson talks about this. You go look at ancient texts from our planet, and they're like, yeah, there was aliens that came here, and they were like escaping from another planet, and they came here, and then they created human beings. And you're like, that sounds like a bunch of pseudoscience, crazy, all this stuff. And I'm like, but billions of people believe this story about God created Adam and Eve.
Right.
And then you were joking, I think, Mitch, like, well, who created God, right? And it's like, don't you wonder that?
What is God?
Like, okay, some higher being created all of us.
And in fucking Genesis, it literally says God referred to themselves as we.
Yeah. Like, but that was the royal we, Mitch, don't you know? Like, it was just a interpretation. I'm like, well, maybe creating man was also some fucking metaphorical fucking thing that's being said, and like everything in there is a metaphor. How do you use your human discernment at any level? You would think you'd have to take it literally, and then you realize that you're reading a translation of a translation of a translation. So even the word that you're reading, it's like when you do Google Translate and you keep going back and forth and you have something different than what you started with. So even when you read God and you read created, like I was listening to somebody talking, like an Iranian person talking about, they were being interviewed and they were like, what is this whole death to America thing about? Like, why do you guys say that? Because it makes it sound like you want to kill Americans. And she's like, you have to understand that, like, in their language, when they say this certain word, it can be translated in different ways. And so one of those ways can be translated as like death, something like that, destruction or whatever. And there's like, there's other ways to say it. One of those ways can be like, I stopped listening because I got a phone call, but like she was going to explain like what are the different ways, right? But it's just kind of obvious if you think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like the word love.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like if I said I love ice cream, do you think that means I want to marry it and have sex with it?
I mean, I don't know. You guys.
The guy said he loves. I love children. Oh, so you're like a pedophile? What? No, like I'm not. What are you talking about? But you said you love children. You said it. I heard you say you love children.
Right.
Right. And now imagine you take the word love and you translate it into another language where the word you're using in the translation is specifically the meaning that's like have sex. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're not hearing Iranians say death to America. You're just hearing some chanting, and then they're saying over the caption is like they're saying death to America, and they're not even giving you the context of what these, maybe they are saying that. I don't know. I don't speak the language. I'm just giving you an alternative way of looking at it to realize like maybe you're just being propagandized and these people don't actually hate America. Maybe they just hate what you're doing. And it's like, no. Everything we do is right. Everything we do. Oh, these college kids, they hate America. Do they? Do they hate America? And they say, like, well, if you, like I saw Elon Musk said, let's make a new law that if you take down the American flag and put up another flag, you get a one-way ticket to that country, you know, that flag that you put up, right? And it's like, I get the sentiment. I understand that, right? But what is the implication that you should never express dissatisfaction? Like, you know, if you go back, for example, to, you know, the whole thing when like the people would kneel at the national anthem and do like their fist for the Black Lives Matter thing, right? And it's like, yeah, that whole thing was just a bunch of bullshit, right? But at the same time, it's like, look, you can protest, but do it in a way where you don't get any attention, please. Go do it over here in the corner where no one ever notices. And it's like, well, what's the point of protesting then?
Yeah.
And it's not that, again, we're saying protesting doesn't do anything, but what are you telling that person then? You're basically saying you can't ever do anything to change or challenge anything.
Right.
So let's take Elon Musk's thing, for example. Like, what is he suggesting that they do? It's just taking one side. Like, what if, you know, it's so funny. It's like the whole Nazi Germany thing, you know, this idea of it being so bad and all that. Like, so what should the Germans have done? Should they have pulled down the Nazi flags and then put up, you know, like some other flags, or no?
Yeah.
Because that's literally what I'm sure, like they did in Japan. I know it. Like I remember because my great grandfather or whatever, or yeah, great grandfather, I think, my uncle has a Japanese flag from World War II because my great grandfather was in World War II. And there was some point where they were allowed to fly their flag one day, but he didn't know it. So he like went in the flagpole, like took it down and put the American flag back up, you know, and like took down the other one or whatever. And it's like, so you're allowed to take down that country's flag and put up your flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if it's the Nazi flag? Are you allowed to do it then? Or should they never fly? Like, are you allowed to question what is being done on your behalf with something that's supposed to represent you?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you think Palestine's so great, why don't you go live there? I'm like, do you think that's the point they're making? That you think they're saying Palestine is such an amazing place to live? We want America to look like Palestine and be like Palestine. Do you think that's what they're saying?
Definitely not.
Instead, it's like, how dare you take down the American flag and put up the Palestinian flag?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the worst thing that's happening right now. That's the bad thing that we need to put laws against, not the fucking anti-Semitism speech fucking laws, not the fact that we're allowed to kill people legally because it's called war. But if they do it, then we call it terrorism. And like, you're not allowed to question any of these things.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Elon Musk actually gives a fuck about anything, or he just wants to make money?
After that Skrilla.
And, I mean, think about it. Why is he saying all this now all of a sudden? I thought he was all about free speech.
That's what he said.
Yeah, and then he fucking got his little booty slapped and he got taken on a tour of the Holocaust Museum in Israel and sat down with Ben Shapiro. And now suddenly, like, oh no, there's like no principle in it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I get it. I know protesting doesn't fucking work. I get that. It's just, I'm looking at more like the system, and you see how it actually doesn't even have a side that it's on. It doesn't care.
Yeah, no, it's interesting watching that that statement that Benjamin Netanyahu had put out of like there's actually an international criminal court that they want to put me on the dock. They want to put Israel on the dock. Like, can you believe this? And like completely twisting everything. And watching that, I'm like, oh, this guy has no fucking morality. Like, does not care what you think. Like, he's like doesn't care that you maybe feel like that what they're doing is a genocide or whatever, or sees all the protests going on. He's like, oh, this is the most egregious crime that you could do towards me. Like, and I'm like, wow. Okay, so
No, and then like, and I know you got to go, Mitch. So just whenever you need to, it's fine. But there's like this point where I saw the president of Israel, because they have a prime minister and a president. He put out this statement saying like all the Jewish students at these universities, like we stand with you, right? And it's like they're not. There's nothing happening to them.
yeah,
Like, yeah, maybe some Jewish kid goes and gets in the face of one of the protesters and they start fighting and stuff.
but
Yeah,
hold on, they're
okay,
not
but
even
that's
acknowledging that many of the protesters are Jews themselves.
they won't even say it.
What's that one called? JVP. They're like, no, we this JVP thing, nope, they're wrong. They won't even say it's Jews for Palestine, right? Or I don't remember
For
what they
peace, I
call it.
think.
Oh,
Whatever.
for
Yeah.
peace. There you go.
They won't say that because
Is
it makes it seem like
anti-Semitic? Is it anti-Semitic to want peace?
why is it that the Jews who are on the side of Palestine are safe there at the protests? But you notice like the conversation, it's only like cherry picking the information and not looking at all the actual information, because there's an actual obvious push to be like, no, this is the thing we want everyone to believe. If you believe anything else about it, right? And like Mitch, I know you got to go, but you had been watching that documentary, that Greatest Story Never Told, right?
Yeah, I just started it. I'm like an hour in.
Have you seen that yet, Drake?
No, I'm not at all.
Dude,
Been really
You
busy.
got to watch it, man. It's
Okay.
it's
I'm-
really
like it's on my docket. It's on my doc.
you should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Because it's like the story of Adolf Hitler and all this stuff, right? And it's like, I know people probably feel like, oh, if you even go there, like you must be bad. And it's like, okay, like that's if you take the current version of things for granted. That it's kind of like, I don't want to question the idea of whether God exists, because if I do, I could go to hell.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
wanna
if it's not
question-
true,
Yeah.
you won't go to hell. So it's like, you're questioning God, so you worship the devil, don't you? And it's like,
Right.
no, I'm not questioning God because I'm on the side of Satan. I'm saying they don't exist. So I'm not for Satan.
It would be
You
like
see what I'm
somebody
saying?
saying, it would be like somebody saying, like, Mother Teresa wanted all those children and people that came to her, she wanted them to suffer because like that was what she believed was like, oh, how they, get into heaven or whatever. Like it's like suffering is a good thing. And you hear that and you're like, Mother Teresa was a saint. How dare you? Like,
No, that's a great example of it. But
I'm
she was a
literally
very
quoting
holy
her.
saint person. It's like, okay, so let me ask you a question. What was one good thing she ever did?
she created all these hospitals.
Well, she helped. No, they weren't even hospitals.
Well,
They were literally people brought people there to die so that the nuns and stuff would pray over them while they're dying. That was the point of them.
Wow. Damn.
Go fucking look it up. Like, actually, it's like, no, but that's not the feeling I have based on all the propaganda I was impulsed with. My feeling is that she's a really good person. It's like, because the Catholic Church said so.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church said she's a holy person. Are you Catholic? No. So why do you give a fuck what their opinion is about this person?
Well, because they put it in
The
all
Dalai
media.
Lama. The Dalai Lama is a really good holy person. Really,
Who
he
got
thinks
the-
he's the
who got the
incarnation of
vaccine.
fucking Buddha, or what is he the incarnation of? It's like basically some god fucking avatar, right?
I thought it was a.
Do you believe that's the case? No. So why do you think he's holy? Like
Got a
what?
lot of airtime on TV.
Because he says the word compassion a lot.
and all these other major figures seem to accept him, like that they have lunch or tea with him and they shake his hand and nod their heads.
I would have more respect for the Pope if he was like, fuck all the other religions. You're all fucking lying. We're the only one that's like, why aren't all the religions saying that? Instead, they're like, no, like we're cool. We can sit down together, because it's like they know they're just playing this game and they each have their little spots. It's like Apple will fight with, I don't know what the competitor would be. What's the competitor to Apple?
Microsoft.
Okay,
No.
Microsoft. Thank you.
Microsoft bought Apple,
Whatever. What?
didn't they? Aren't they the same company now? Don't they?
What? You talking about OpenAI?
Never mind.
Apple?
I might be
I
wrong
don't
there.
know what you're talking. Nothing
I'm pretty
to do
sure
by Apple.
that they are.
I would have heard about that.
I'm sure they're.
That'd be like if Nike bought Adidas and I didn't know about it. You'd be like,
They
They
wait, what?
invested $150 million in Apple
Okay. See.
Really?
That's
I
the
didn't
same
even know
in
fucking
that.
thing.
1997.
Okay, in
According
1997, that's a
to
lot of
Okay.
fucking money.
AI.
That's a lot of fucking shares into Apple.
Okay.
They're the same fucking company to me.
I didn't know any of that. That's pretty crazy.
Well, that's not fair.
I wonder if they still own that or whatever. But
You thought it was
anyways,
like red team, blue team. Yeah. You
no,
thought
I
this,
just
this is like
I did.
WWE over
I
here. Okay, this is WWE.
I feel like you're creating so much cognitive dissonance right now. Like I believe
right.
my whole world is a lie.
Microsoft equals Apple. They're the same fucking shit. They got.
What was the
they're
point I
all-
was even trying to make?
See, it doesn't even matter. You were saying what competitor would there be to Apple, right? But
Oh, right. Like they let's just say you have two competitors in business. They're gonna try to go after each other, but at the end of the day, they both know they're playing a game together. Do you know what I mean?
like Microsoft and Apple.
Apparently.
Like I just,
Apparently.
if your
I
mind is
think you
not
have an
blown by me
engram-
right
I
now,
think you have an
you're
engram
wrong.
toward the word Apple, Drake. Okay.
What?
I think you have an engram toward the word Apple.
Apple? I like Apple.
But it's like, you know, a perfect example of that is like this whole thing with Daily Wire. It's like that Ben Shapiro straight up said like Jesus was not the Messiah. He was just some criminal who like tried to overthrow the Republic or the what do you call it? The Roman Empire or whatever. So they put him in, so they executed him, right? And I'm like, how can you work alongside another person who's like profoundly Christian and they're not like, dude, I'm totally fucking not cool with your description of my savior, who is also your savior. Like, you're gonna go to hell for thinking that. Like, because I would say that to anybody else, but I won't say it to you. Why? Because you're really popular, you make us a lot
He's
of
good at
money, and we don't
debating.
actually fucking believe anything we're fucking saying. We're just liars. We don't give a shit. We don't have real principles. It's just, I feel like I really like Nike. You really like Adidas. I'm going to pretend like it matters. It doesn't actually matter. It's just
We're
what
the
I
same
do to get all the Nike
factory.
people to like me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. But at the expense of, because I got to go in a second, but it's like what I see happens is everyone has this deep down fucking fear of hell and this desire to go to heaven, whatever that means for them, whether it's religious based or they want to just fucking win and you know, make a lot of money. But what happens is because we're operating from that limited starting point and we're like accepting some fucking contorted version of reality, we literally create hell on earth. But that hell on earth is like a tsunami off the coast coming in. And for some people, it's getting hit already, right? And you're seeing it with fucking protests and all this shit. But it's like that wave is coming for every single person.
Dude,
So perfect yourself before you wreck yourself.
I love that image. I love that image of like a tsunami coming in, because it's like, what happens when a tsunami comes in? All the birds leave, all the animals
Right.
leave.
You got a warning and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, shit, we got to go. But
The animals know it's coming. The animals fucking know. They're out of there, right?
Right.
And then like you're just there sitting on the beach, and here comes this massive freaking tidal wave. You know?
yeah. So
Hey,
Yeah.
I got to
Right.
go. But Max, you can.
Max wanted to just, he said he was listening, so he wanted to show like his clay figurines that he made.
Oh, nice. Let's see.
So this one is that Holland?
We've been watching this show every once in a while called Ultraman, some 1960s Japanese
And
like.
this guy's the most basic of them all, I'd say. But it's not like an intermediate.
Look at the detail on this thing, man.
I like it. I like it. I've
Sounds
never seen this
cool.
character before, but
Second is Niranga.
Yeah, it's kind of obscure, but look at this guy.
that's cool looking.
Here is Green Mons.
This one looks kind of weird, but that's actually what it looks like. Yeah,
Okay.
It's like this weird monster.
And finally Gamakugura, who I think
Gamakugura.
he's the guy with the tail socket.
Oh, nice.
The socket you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, look, the socket's right there, and like it got like pushed in.
Nice.
What are the other techniques you were telling me about?
Like pinch.
You call it pinch. Is that an example of this one?
No, that's smoosh.
That's smoosh. Okay.
But pinch is when you put two pieces of clay between, like one piece of clay in between two pieces of clay that holds it on.
And then you pinch it.
Mhm.
I see. Okay. That's really cool.
Nice, dude.
Those are awesome, Max. Thanks for sharing that.
Got
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
He just wanted to show those. Thanks, bud.
That's awesome.
All right, let me plug my headphones back in.
All right.
All right. So yeah, what else can we talk about?
Man, we
Like,
had
what
a lot of things that you'd shared. There's so something happened. Tim Pool, Matt Gates, what was going on there? Matt Gates was talking to the uh, somebody in defense, Secretary of something, I don't know. Anyway, but basically what they were showing was the US is building a platform.
The pier.
Yeah, the pier outside of Gaza, just off the coast of Gaza. It's like, well, we built this pier.
He was like, you promised we wouldn't have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And he's like, so now you're building a pier so that the boots are on the pier, which is connected to the ground. And he's like, so technically that's not boots on the ground. And like the defense secretary was like, correct.
Yeah, that's not boots on the ground.
He's like, it's not boots on the ground.
Like,
he's like, but if the people on the shore shoot people on the pier, are the people on the pier going to shoot back? And he's like, yes.
Yes, they have the
right. He's like, so
literally you're putting Americans there.
He's like, don't you think that's a likely thing that's going to happen? He's like, possibly.
Yeah. Actually, we expect it to happen. Like, what?
And Matt, it's actually amazing because what's going to happen? It's going to happen. They're going to get shot at, and then they're going to be like, oh, we have troops that are being attacked. We have to now go in there.
But it's like you literally put the troops there to be attacked.
Doesn't matter. No one is fucking paying attention.
Yeah. It's
no crazy. One cares. I saw some clip. I didn't watch it. I just saw this clip and it was something about like, I think it was a Dave Smith thing or something, but it was like, who votes for war or something to that effect. And I'm like, yeah, when there's a war declared, why don't all of the citizens get to vote on whether we should?
Right.
I mean, not that it would really probably matter, but why don't we get to vote on it? It's like, no, the Congress people just get to vote. It's like, I don't think that's why we elect them. We're not electing them so they can just have decisions over whether we go to war. We're electing them to like go in there and look at what's actually going on and adjust things so that it's actually best for everybody. That's the idea of electing representatives. It's not so if a crisis happens. So it's not even a crisis.
It's not a crisis for us.
It's not. And yet, like, we can send weapons and stuff. Like, no one's voting for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this sort of, well, you know they're going to vote on stuff like that, and you elected them, so you kind of gave up your ability to protest about it because you're going along with it. And that's the truth of it. It's like, well, you're going along with the system. Like, you're voting for people. So, I mean, what do you think? That you know what they're going to do.
Right. Yeah, it's actually insane if you actually consider it, because it's the whole point of us going along with everything that's here. It doesn't make sense. And yet that's what everybody's taught from, a child, from entering into this world. I was talking with someone yesterday, because I also did a booth yesterday, and I was talking with someone, and she was like, I looked into what you're doing, and it's really cool. And I just wanted to say, like, I wish that I would have had what you're doing when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Why do you say that? She's like, I couldn't read until I was in like 5th grade. And I was like, did that affect you? And she's like, hell yeah, it affected me. Hell yeah, it really hurt me a lot because I couldn't understand a lot of things, and I felt, this way and that. And she's like, and it's also really so hard and disheartening to see that there's all these parents who they don't take their kids' education seriously. It's like, we all know that if your child is educated, or if they could read, if they've got a strong vocabulary, that they will move up in their economical social status, right? And she's like, and we're looking at these parents, and I'm like, you're not in a good position. You don't want to be here. You want your kid to be successful. Why aren't you taking every measure possible to educate them, to make sure that they can get out of this situation that they're in? And it's like, we can sit here and judge those parents. They're living in, I don't know, the hood or whatever, right? And they're not doing anything or not doing enough they're just sending their kid to school, but they're not actually making sure their kid's like educated. They're not taking that responsibility. We can sit here and judge them and be like, see, they just want to stay there. They just want to keep their kids there. But it's like we're doing that on a global scale, actually.
Well, also, like, instead of blaming those parents, what if you just blame the kids? Like, just for a moment, blame those kids right now for not educating their kids in the future.
Mm.
Would it make sense to do that?
Blame those kids right now
Uh-huh.
for not educating
Their
their
kids in the
kids
future.
in the future. Because we already know that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, would it make sense to blame them
No.
right now? Why not?
Well, because they're being raised in a way where they don't understand any of that.
So you can't expect them to
Right.
be able to do that, right? So
Yeah.
that's the same thing as blaming their parents.
Yeah.
Like, their parents don't fucking know. Like, what do their parents do for work?
Who knows? But they're teachers.
Like, whatever, right? So obviously they don't know the answer. They don't know how to educate their kids, because if they did, they would have that education and they would be applying it.
Yeah.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
And this is the whole point, is like, it's not even about the content that you know, it's about your ability to process information. And so they can't process the information. That's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't process information. So that's why they're stuck where they're at. And that's why they can't possibly help their kids. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Some of the other things that we had talked about this past week was there's something that you had sent about the rapture. I thought that was really interesting. The rapture being this story that was only recently entered into even religion, this idea that like you have to let everything go to the worst possible point, because then that's when God's gonna come, the Messiah's gonna come, and then like, you know, zap everybody into heaven who is following him, and everybody else, you know, you're screwed. But we gotta let it get to that point first. So it creates this numbness within people.
It's not that we have to let it get there, it's going there. But then because we think it's going there, we let it. If that makes sense. It's not that we have to let it to make it happen. That's not the idea. But it's this belief that it is happening. You know, when I was growing up, my grandparents had these movies.
But that's
you know,
the
like
starting point behind telling that story in the first place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm saying part of the story is not that you have to do nothing. It's just it's inevitable. It's happening.
But the whole point of having that story in place was so that you will allow me to fuck this shit up because you think it's going to go there anyway.
Where meanwhile, somebody else knows it's a story and they're just taking advantage of it, and they're just trying to make money. You know, it's like the people who wrote the Bible. Why did it take so long to write it down?
Well, God was only like talking to them like every once in 1,000 years.
But no, I mean, like even like the gospel, like when was it written?
Oh yeah, like 400 years after.
Yeah. Like that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Why didn't, isn't it obvious that it's just like, hey, this thing that's become really popular, let's mold it into something and put these stories in place. And like and there's just so many different stories.
Yeah.
There's so many different ideas of how the world was created and myths and so forth, right? And yet some people actually believe that this one myth that, you know, has been pieced together and certain things were left out, like you ever heard of the Gospel of Thomas?
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's not authentic. What's the criteria for being authentic?
Well, it's got to fit in with all these other stories that we.
Well, they don't even fit in anyways. Like,
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, what's the criteria? Because I'm gonna look that up. Let's look that up. Why is Gospel of Thomas not in the Bible? Divergent theology. the content and teachings differ significantly from the canonical gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. See, I don't want that stuff. People are like, oh, they're trying to hide it. I'm like, yeah, I know that, but let's see. Enter the Bible. Here we go. Why isn't the Gospel of Thomas in the Bible? The majority of New Testament scholars rightly doubts that the gospel offers much by the way of a new or unique insight into the Jesus of Nazareth.
Wait, it doubts unique insight, even though it's like completely different. Very unique, actually.
It doesn't add much, but the problem is it adds too much. Here, let me share my
Go for it.
Let me.
You could have shared the whole time, actually.
I could have just been sharing.
You were God this whole time.
All right, here we go. A few of the book's quotations resemble words we also find in the Gospels. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Those sayings may reflect that. Okay. On the other hand, many quotations are quite strange. Consider the 22nd saying, which reads, when you make the two into one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and what is above like what is below, and when you make male and female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, when you make a pair of eyes in place of one eye, a hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom.
Oh.
And you thought Jesus said some confusing stuff in the biblical Gospels.
You read that perfectly.
As far as understanding why the Gospel of Thomas is in the Bible, read it and compare it to what you see in the New Testament. It's a very different kind of book, presenting a quite different Jesus. Different how? A few scholars insist that Thomas was written around the same time as, if not earlier than, the biblical Gospels.
Wow.
Which are usually dated between the years 66 to 100. So it's only 60 years after.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Maybe you've heard the Jesus Seminar, which made a lot of fuss. They probably blah, blah, blah. Why should we care? The outer parts indicate that it was produced later. Okay, so that's one little thing. Let's see what else people say. So these are all, look at this.
Oh, there's a lot of books that didn't make it.
Wow. Wait, look. Gospels of James, Peter, Thomas, Nicodemus, the Syriac Infancy Gospel, the Epistles of Jesus Christ. Look at all this. Wow.
Wow. Wow, there's a lot of letters that were
Some
written.
people say the canonical Gospels are more historical. The canonical Gospels make it clear Jesus was a Jew. Okay. They don't reflect the concerns and issues of the first century Christians.
More prestige and authority.
Still no actual but it's like, well, they don't fit in with the image. It's like, well, how does, you could take several different books in the Old Testament, how do they fit in together? They don't necessarily, they're not talking about the same shit. They didn't like the whole idea of Gnosticism, I suppose, is what it really looks like.
You know what it was, actually? Is you ever see those things where companies will say, we're holding an event. We want to hear from you. If you could make a commercial for our product, what would it look like? And the winner gets featured on our new commercial, and we'll send you our product for free. Right? It's like, then a whole bunch of people write in their ideas, and then they take the best ones. They're like, and that's the commercial. Look at that! Wow, right? It's like
look
a whole
at
bunch
this
of people were writing about God and Jesus and all this, and they're like, yeah, we'll just take the best ones and turn that into our book. What's this one here?
It's The other gospels don't hide the childhood. They just don't relate most of it because it isn't relevant.
Mm.
Most of it would be him apprenticed to his father and doing jobs for people. None of that would add much. And like it's really interesting because they were written long after Jesus. The next century are not reporting anything but their own fever dreams. I like this one. The so-called Gospel of Thomas isn't the Bible because it's a Gnostic fabrication that has always been recognized as such by the church.
What's the problem with it being Gnostic?
Well, okay, we'll look at that in a second. But here's my point I was going to say earlier. It's like, again, the church doesn't recognize it because they say it's not authentic. Why is it authentic? Because it's clearly fabricated and was never recognized by the church. And it's like, so the part where Jesus turns water into wine, is that literally true?
Well, according to them.
But what about according to someone who doesn't believe in Christianity? Wouldn't they say that's a fabrication? So how does the church go, this is a fabrication, but this is not a fabrication? It's like, but if you step outside, so if I'm not Catholic, if I'm not Christian, why shouldn't the Gospel of Thomas be in there? Because it's all a fabrication.
Well, think about this. What about like the church saying when you drink the wine, you're literally drinking the blood of Christ?
That's not a fabrication. Also, you take the whole thing and then you take Paul and you put Paul in there, and suddenly it's about like worshiping Jesus as like the savior. When that wasn't, if you read the other gospels, that wasn't really what comes across. It's like not till you get to Paul where you start to, it's like you're making that point about the rapture.
Yeah.
It's like later someone comes along and is like, I'm going to add some context here to where I want it to go.
Yeah.
So they take the whole Bible stuff and then they're like, yeah, that whole Revelation thing that was kind of weird. Let's kind of go with that sort of a theme and like make it about the apocalypse, and there's going to be a rapture and God's going to come back and there's going to be a battle and all this stuff. And you're like, that's not in the Bible. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's in the Bible though, because we're adding it because we want it to be there. It's like the Bible is literally just taking certain things and putting them together because you want it to say something.
Yeah.
Like, well, I didn't add that because that's a fabrication. From my perspective, all of it's a fabrication. So how is that your justification? How did you know what isn't the fabrication? And it's interesting because they're saying with the Gospel of Thomas, it's a bunch of things that Jesus said. It's not a narrative about his life.
It's funny.
And isn't that interesting? Wouldn't it be more interesting the things that he said?
Right.
You could claim that he didn't say them, but that's not even the argument. It's like, well, it's just a bunch of stuff that Jesus said. We don't want us to read. They want to hear the story.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's very little of like, what the fuck was Jesus actually trying to say? What do you ever get that? Like, because I read the Bible when I was in Catholic school and all that, and it's like, what is his point exactly? Like, what is the clearly? It's like, yeah, you get this sermon and he says all this stuff, and you're like, but then you have to interpret what it means instead of it being like, look, here's the beginning, here's the point, here's the end, here's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Instead, it's like, how many sermons do you think this guy fucking gave? Wouldn't you assume like a lot? Like, was it like 4? But how many are actually referenced in the Bible?
Yeah, like 4 of them.
Like not that many. And I mean, that's it. That's all that made it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was written 60, 100 years later. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, what's going on here? Like, where's like all the fucking information that he gave? And I mean, yeah, maybe because they didn't have internet and shit, he couldn't write it all down.
The other point would be like, oh, okay, well, who decides like what makes it to the final cut and everything? It's like, well, these people who were led by God, like, okay, how do you know they were led by God? Like, why
aren't they rejecting some things that God said? Well, no, they're not rejecting the things that God said. But some people believe that it is actually something from God.
Yeah. Well, no,
the authority of the Catholic Church, right? They're the true ones that are.
And they could only become the authority of the Catholic Church if God really liked them. And, he wouldn't allow anybody else into the authority to like, anybody who is doing wrong or evil or bad or anything like that. Or, anybody who'd give their blessing to like, you know, trans people or the gays to get married within the Catholic Church. Like, wait a minute, what?
Here, let me give you because you asked about Gnosticism. Okay.
Yeah.
A prominent heretical movement of the 2nd century Christian church, partly of pre-Christian origin. Gnostic doctrine taught that the world was created and ruled by a lesser divinity, the demiurge, and that Christ was an emissary of the remote supreme divine being. Sounds pretty fucking cool, honestly.
It actually sounds really familiar when you study the Destiny stuff.
That's what I'm
It actually
saying.
sounds really familiar when you study the ancient text that Billy Carson brings up. It actually is like, oh, wait a minute.
I'm trying to find, they're just saying what the word means. Anyways, I mean, we could go on and on and on. Like, if you start looking into it, there's like, you go into a lot of this different stuff, and it's like, there was, oh, what is it? The Dead Sea Scrolls, I think, is one of the texts that they use. And there's this whole story about like, there was these beings out in like the center of the galaxy, and they had these long straws. I mean, that's what they call them. And they would like use them to like put seeds into like planets and like different things like out into like the arms of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So they would like seed them with life, and like the whole story about all that. And it's like, oh, now you're actually giving me some mechanics of how it actually works. I mean, whether it's true or not,
Right.
at least you're giving me some details of like, how did life originate? Like, what actually happened? Instead, it was like, oh yeah, so God. Wait, what? How did he get here? No. Just, there's God, right? Okay, cool. So God said, "Let there be light," and then there was light. And you're like, whoa, back up! Like, who's God? What was he doing? Why was he doing stuff? What made him decide to do this? It's like, no. God said, "Let there be light." All right, cool. He saw that it was good. Then he said, "Let there be this and let there be that." And then he made man. Wait, what? Why did he make man? Because. Why? No, don't worry about that. So anyway, so then they're man, and then he was lonely. So then God made him a woman, right? Yeah. Okay, so then they had this garden, and then he had the tree, right? He said, "Don't eat from that tree." Like, wait, why? Well, he didn't want them to be like him. Be like him. Like, what? I thought they were made like him. Like, no, like he didn't want them to make any decisions. Okay. He wanted them to just follow him and okay. And then so they ate from the tree of knowledge, they kicked him out, and then now they're out in the world and they have kids, right? And then their kids are getting married. You're like, wait, who are they marrying?
Well,
All the other people that lived out there. Wait, what?
Yeah.
So you have two people, and how we're not all genetically fucking retarded right now.
Right.
Like, you can't even marry your cousin, but it's okay for like, where these people come from?
Yeah.
They're like, well, look, we didn't put all that in the Bible. There is a book that explains all that, but it also says a bunch of weird stuff, and it's weird. It doesn't make sense, right? And I'm like, none of what you wrote makes sense.
Right.
None of it makes sense. Like that. Oh, it's just a bunch of weird. Like, look at this. Like, above as so below, and like when the inner becomes the outer, and then then you'll enter the kingdom of heaven. Okay, let's. Rich man, camel, needle. Okay, let's take a look at these things. Okay, here you go. All right. Again, I tell you, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. What?
You want to hear something funny?
Hold on, wait. Hold on. Net worth, Catholic Church. $30 billion. Hold on a second. Okay. Let me tell you, it's easier for a camel to add the needle than for someone who's rich to enter the kingdom of God. What is the purpose of the Pope? Okay, so he represents Christ's love and concern for every single individual. Okay. The Pope's priority lies in getting to know the people, understand how they live. I don't understand. So, what is the point of the Pope? He's the unifier of the people of God. He should guide and inspire them. Okay. What is the role of the Pope? He decides on church issues. What does he do? He's the father and he's the leader of the whole Catholic Church.
Okay.
The earthly shepherd for the spiritual and moral beliefs of the Catholic faithful.
Okay.
Here we go. He represents a direct line back to Jesus. Okay, he's worth 30 billion. So the Catholic Church is worth, so he's the head of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So he's like the leader of it.
Yeah.
He's the leader. And I'm trying to understand this thing. So you can't be rich. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. I mean, I'm assuming that's pretty hard to do.
You know, I saw this thing that was like the eye of the needle is actually just this loopy rock out in the middle of nowhere. And it was
So
hard
it
for
is
camels
easy?
to go in there, but it's not that hard. Like they could go in. It was just, it's just, you know, kind of like it's easier to slip on a banana peel. I don't know. Like, I have no idea if this thing was accurate or not.
But I know what you're saying. Like they say the eye of the needle was some place or something. It wasn't
Right.
actually an eye of a needle. So is it hard or not? It seems like the point is that it's supposed to be hard.
Supposed to
And
be
like
very
if you're
difficult.
rich, but does the word rich mean rich in terms of money? You know, like what does it actually mean? I mean, how
Remember when
rich?
that lady was explaining like death to America and how it means not death? Like rich means not rich. Maybe.
It says his net worth is around 100 USD. As a Jesuit, he took a vow of poverty.
Who?
The Pope.
Oh, he's poor?
That's what it's saying.
Oh, well.
Does
My
does
fault.
does the Pope have a luxurious life? Luxurious lifestyle.
No. He actually has to live in a hut.
It says this is from the Smithsonian. It says Pope Francis isn't using his summer house, so the Vatican is letting the public in.
Oh,
Wait, where's the actual pictures?
he's got a summer house.
Okay, hold on. Pope summer house.
I want to see this. Share your screen.
I'm trying to find something that actually like shows it and stuff because like most of this doesn't. It's like just like one picture or something. It's like not really.
Man.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I got like a video.
Oh, nice. Okay, let me see.
Okay, let's just kind of. Okay, shut up.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so here's where it is, I suppose. Just show me him. Okay.
This
The
is
summer residence.
Okay.
It's just a 10-minute helicopter ride from Vatican. Look
Oh,
at
look
that.
at that.
Come on, show us the actual fucking stuff, man. What is all this? Okay, here we go. Private rooms. Here we go. I'll put it on faster speed.
That one room. That one room is the size of somebody's entire house.
What?
Nice.
Okay, it's a bed. We get it. Look at that. Okay. Got a lot of books there. Nice view.
Nice courtyard. Nice
Marble
big-
floors, I guess. They're really emphasizing that.
Yeah.
It is really interesting where it's like he took a vow of poverty.
Right.
Oh, and he's not using his summer house.
Yeah.
Hold on. What did it say? Let me go back real quick. Let me read what it said. It said, in the humble chamber, choosing to live in humble chambers in the Vatican instead of the traditional papal palace. Oh, interesting. Let's think about that for a second, though, because then you're like, see, but that contradicts me, right? Because like he's so humble and lives in poverty and stuff. Doesn't that kind of imply his predecessors weren't?
Right.
Like, okay, so this one guy's got this thing. Okay, maybe he's figured it out or whatever. But like this whole history of all thousands of years before then,
Yeah.
there's a papal palace. Maybe I should look that up.
That sounds like it'd be a nice place.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we're just assuming.
It's called a
Apostolic Palace.
It's called a palace. I'm assuming a lot of things. Like uh, I'm assuming if I had a place that was called a palace, you would probably and it wasn't, palatial. You would think I'm misrepresenting the place.
I mean, it's like there's like a lot of videos,
Mhm.
but none that are just like
I'm thinking about it like, okay,
showing. Go ahead.
let's say the Pope takes a vow of poverty. But what's the point of money? Is it not to have a lot of resources available to you? Isn't that what money is? There's a bunch of resources that are available to you. So are you saying then that the Pope doesn't have a lot of resources? Doesn't have the ability to like, how much wine gets donated to the Vatican every year by who's the
Rothschilds or
the
whatever.
Rothschilds? Yeah. How much wine gets like that in itself is like, bruh.
Dude, look at this. Look at this. Hold on. All of that. Look at this.
Wow. Wow. This is all in the palace of the Pope. This is insane.
So he's living in his humble abode instead of having the summer house. He's taking up his humble residence at the papal palace.
Wow. Look at that.
I mean, what?
That's
Eh,
insane.
But this is okay. My whole point though is just like I thought it said like you can't be a rich man and enter the kingdom of heaven and all this.
Yeah.
And then to be like, oh, but we can't put the Gospel of Thomas because that just kind of it has weird stuff and it doesn't really make sense. What other weird things are in this gospel? Here, let me show you some other weird things in this gospel.
Please.
These are the secret sayings. So here's the actual, it's a translation, obviously, but whoever finds okay. Wow, will not experience death. Well, fuck. Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. Well, that is pretty fucking weird. Blessed is the lion which consumes man, which becomes man when consumed by man, and cursed is the man when whom the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man. I can see why they don't want people to read this shit, man. I have cast fire upon the world, and see, I am guarding it until it blazes.
Damn.
God. What else is weird in here? Whoever has ears, let him hear. There is light within a man of light, and he lights up the whole world. If he does not shine, he is darkness. Love your brother like your soul. Guard him like the pupil of your eye. You see the mote in your brother's eye, but you do not see the beam in your own eye. When you cast it, you know what's interesting about this? No prophet is except his own village, no physician who heals those who know him. Where there are three gods, they are gods. When there are two or one, I am with him. Interesting. If a blind man leads a blind man, they will both fall into a pit. Do
I
not
like
be
that one.
concerned from morning until evening and from evening until morning about what you will wear. I totally agree with that.
You know who also agrees with that? Mark Zuckerberg.
What's interesting is like there's not a lot of context for these points,
Mhm.
but what if he actually said all this?
Yeah.
And you look at the Bible, and it's like basically they didn't want to put a whole thing where it's like a bunch of stuff Jesus said.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it was like written down like 150 years after, you know, Jesus was alive. It's like, but the actual Gospels were 60 years after. So why didn't they write them before that?
Yeah.
They weren't that long. It didn't take them 60 years to write it down.
Right. Yeah.
Something's not adding up.
Well, we
And then
have to
like
collect all these things.
we just want a story with a bit of what he said. But we
Yeah.
definitely don't want a whole thing of just stuff that he said that people could actually try to understand, like, what did he mean?
It's the same point with like history or how we have history right now. It's like here's the story that you're told, and memorize these dates, and don't look into any of this stuff. Don't actually like try to learn or understand. And then there's also this. Okay, so going back to like some of the things that you sent over the past week, the Biden thing,
Mhm.
right? Where he's talking about Japan and India being xenophobic. I thought that was really fascinating because he's basically saying out loud the parts of like why all these immigrants are coming into the country.
Yeah, he was saying like they're economically failing, and so they were, yeah, good.
It's also interesting because like with Japan is actually in trouble economically. I've seen a lot of things that are like people saying you think Japan is like in the future or ahead in like all these ways, but actually they're struggling over there, and you might be surprised by how much your dollar can buy in Japan if you go and visit Japan, right? Um, and how behind they are with like they don't accept credit cards or some like you have to have cash in a lot of places, things like that. It's like they're actually behind in a lot of ways economically, and people are hurting economically over there as well. And we already know their birth rate is very low. It's like one of the lowest in the world. And also at the same time, they have had a policy for a very long time of just we like our culture. We want to keep our culture the way that it is, and we're not inviting other cultures into our culture. Sort of.
Except after World War II, where we totally fucking just accepted Western culture.
Exactly.
It's not that they don't like other cultures; they don't want other races. They're actually probably the most racist fucking society. I mean, I don't mean
Yes.
racist in a bad way. I just mean like
Yeah.
they're like we don't want to create a multicultural society. Yeah, I'd say cultural, but it's really just like genetic race, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's funny because Biden's like, well, all these countries, they're failing because they don't like migration. That's it.
I mean, but which is like true, which I think is kind of point you're making. It's like they are failing. But like you said, the real point is so the solution is just let people immigrate.
But that also does not make sense because think about it is where are these people coming from?
Right.
Like, so does every country then allow, okay, every country has open borders, everybody can migrate to that country. Okay, where are all the people going to come from? They're leaving someplace to go to somewhere else.
Well, what? Yeah, and it's like, well, these people that come in, they have lots of kids and so forth that'll help replace the fact that there's low birth rates.
Yeah.
But isn't that because they're coming from cultures that maybe value having lots of kids, but also they probably have low education comparatively? Because otherwise, why would they want to go to these other countries?
Also,
I would assume. Okay, actually, let's look at that. If the economy is failing in Japan,
Mhm.
why would immigrants want to go there?
That's a good question.
Like, why would they? I mean, why would the elite want to put them there is another question, but why would the people themselves? So it must represent, at least maybe current status wise, it's nicer to live in Japan, let's say, than where these immigrants, whoever they are coming from.
Yeah.
So they're coming from a place that sucks to go to a place that's failing.
Right.
So that what can happen
So that place,
becomes the other place.
I don't know.
Because
I
if
don't
those
know.
are the people who are multiplying, like, and if the system in Japan didn't work effectively to the point where it's now failing,
Yeah.
how are these people that are coming in? They're going to bring a solution. Yes, they're going to bring more people, which will mean there will be people to do the jobs and labor and things like that. But that's doesn't
the
seem like a
idea-
long-term solution because
Right. The
that
idea
would
is
have
just like
worked.
throw cash at it, essentially.
Why didn't they just stay where they were at?
Yeah.
Why did they need to go save Japan?
Yeah.
They're leaving their country because they can't fucking build a country that makes sense.
Right.
So they're going to go to a place that seems better, but it's so great that it's falling apart also.
Right.
So it looks to me like it's just like we just got to keep this thing going, and as long as we can, okay, move those people over there, keep it going. We don't want it to fall, because if it falls, everything else falls apart. It's not an actual, but he's saying it out loud like, well, it's because they're not accepting immigrants.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's why you're moving immigrants around the world, is just you're just trying to solve the low birth rate problem. You're not actually, just not a real solution.
It's also interesting because it's like you're making that point of like, well, just keep that from falling, keep this from falling, just throw them over there, throw this over here. It's like, okay, what if we actually did that with the resources that we have available, all the resources that we have available, so that we were supporting every country equally, every human being equally? Like, why is that not taken into consideration? It's only, oh, this thing is going to have a major impact on the world's economy if this fails. So toss things at it now. It's like,
Yeah.
It's not actually looking at the full picture, the full point of what are we here to do? Like, why are you here on this planet? Just to make a bunch of cash for yourself?
Look at that though. The whole thing is being held up.
Yeah.
So that some people can make money on top of money.
Yeah.
That's like the system that's being, I'm not saying we should let it collapse. We have to change it, but I'm saying the thing that's the whole focus right now is just to keep the current system alive. Not actually what's a system that is best, like you're saying.
Right.
But what is that system? It's a system that allows some to just make money from money.
Yeah.
It's not about how do we actually help people and so forth. So when they're moving the immigrants from here to there, they're trying to hold up an economy that works in the favor of some people who know with the vocabulary how to make money with money. They're not making money from actually creating real things.
Yeah.
The lie about it is like, well, capitalism, we've created so much stuff because capitalism works and everything, but there's this other part where it's like you could just make money from money. That's like speculation, all these other things.
Yeah.
What about that part? Why is that part necessary? Because you say, well, if it wasn't that way, then we wouldn't have all these other things. But it's now the cause of all this shit failing.
Right.
So it wasn't a sustainable thing.
Yeah. It's also interesting, like, with the consideration of how there's a lot of economies that are only able to function when developed worlds are functioning effectively. When there's surplus in the developed worlds, and it's like, okay, so then the excuse is used of like, see, or you've heard that phrase of when the US sneezes, the whole world gets a cold or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gets the flu, gets COVID. Who knows what the phrase is? But
I don't understand how COVID spread in China if everybody was already wearing masks. Hear me out. I just thought of this. Don't they already all wear masks?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Like, they actually all wear masks all the time there when anyone's sick.
Yeah.
So how, but then it started spreading apparently. And then now we're like, we should wear masks. And it's like,
hang on.
but it didn't work for them.
Wait,
Anyways.
I think you forgot the whole origin story, the mythology that surrounded COVID of that it is asymptomatic and spreads even if you don't know
Mm-hmm.
that you're sick.
Good point.
You are sick. You're sick. Okay.
You're just
Open up-
always sick.
You're sick. Open up
Okay,
your
that
butthole.
being said,
Let me get a Q-tip in there. so I
isn't
can
it
test
possible
you.
for any virus in the future to be spread that way? And we won't
Obviously.
know until. So shouldn't we all be wearing masks all the time? Why has anyone stopped wearing them? It's
You
so
know-
fucking insane, dude.
You know,
Like, well, but the news didn't tell me I should be wearing it right now.
actually, I've been saying we're gonna have a winter of death. A winter of death.
It
You
wasn't
should
Bernie
be-
Sanders who said that. Oh, you're talking about. Oh, I thought you were doing Bernie Sanders. Sorry.
That was my Fauci.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I just got it mixed up.
Bernie does. He's
No, you're right. You're right. I just got it mixed up.
Bernie's a little more Jewish sounding. I can't do Bernie's voice.
It's interesting too. You see all these kids wearing masks at the protesting.
Yeah.
And they're openly saying it's to hide their identity.
Yeah,
Like, so ridiculous.
yeah. It's-
Maybe we should wrap it up because we got another meeting coming up in 30 minutes here. We're just
Oh.
rambling at this point.
yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
There's so
let's
many more
wrap it
things we
up.
could talk about, but I mean, we just
Last couple of points here.
all right. Go ahead.
The FISA thing. FISA. How do you pronounce it? FISA. All right, that thing. Yeah, not Pfizer. Not to be confused.
Pfizer, get your Pfizer vaccine. You don't need a warrant for this.
Yeah. Was expanded apparently, and basically they can. You've heard of the Patriot Act.
Yeah, if you're an American, you can be spied upon if you're talking to people outside the U.S. So who does that not apply to in this day and age?
Right. Which just means a whole bunch of information is being collected on you at all times, every time, so that when you make the decision that, hey, this is wrong and we should do something about this, they can clamp down on you, just like in China, and say, one time you looked at that weird anime hentai stuff.
Oh yeah.
And we'll publish it. We'll show everybody what you watched. It was
Yeah.
weird.
No, I we'll have to talk about this another time because we're not going to do it justice.
Okay.
Like, yeah. I think actually it is an important point, but I think you haven't watched that Snowden thing yet?
You didn't send me the Snowden thing.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you later because John Stossel did a cool interview with Snowden and he kind of explains the whole point like really clearly as to why it's a problem. Because people say like, it doesn't matter. It's just for spying on terrorists. And it's like, it's not actually what it's used for. Like, it's not even just, it's good for that, but then they're misusing it. It's actually not even good for that. And it's just for misuse. Right. So
Yeah.
if you want to live in an Orwellian fucking AI police state,
Continue to do nothing.
continue to do nothing and just see how that works out. Not a future I want to live in. So
Yeah.
all right, let's leave it at that for now.
Okay. If you want the solution, join the self-perfected hangout group.
I'm just gonna leave you on a cliffhanger.
Bye.
Okay, bye.